So there we were, my first dinner at the countryside commune, and let me tell you, the food situation was tragic. The steamed buns were so rough they could sand furniture. The soup looked like someone waved a vegetable over hot water and called it a day. Shun Tingting, one of the new girls, couldn't even hide her horror. She blurted out, "Is this even fit for humans?" Classic newbie move. The veteran-educated youth didn't even blink. They'd all said the same thing once upon a time. Give it a few weeks, and you'll be fighting over cabbage scraps like it's a five-star buffet. The meat can cabbage dish vanished from the table first.
Gone.
Not even a noodle strand survived. These people eat like they're being timed. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here staring at my steamed bun like it personally offended me. I literally could not eat it. Wang Zhaodi, the sweet girl sitting next to me, noticed and quietly asked if I wanted it. I handed that brick over so fast. She gave me her soup in return. Fair trade, honestly. She's a real one. Then Shin Tingting tried the same move with her leftover half bun, asking if anyone wanted it. Dead silence. The guys were hungry, but too embarrassed to take food from a girl, and the other girls didn't want someone's leftovers. Awkward. Tingting looked personally attacked by the silence. Girl, welcome to the countryside. After dinner, the senior youth leader Yi Qingqing suggested a talent show. Let's do some performances. Bond with each other. Which really meant new people entertain us. The veterans just had to throw out 1 or 2 acts. Poor Wang Zhaodi was gripping her shirt hem like her life depended on it. She had 0 talents, and she knew it. But Shen Tingting? Oh, she was ready. She stood up with main character confidence and performed a poetry recitation of a famous leader's poem. Everyone just kind of stared. Like, does this count? Yi Qingqing started a polite pity clap, and everyone reluctantly joined in. The applause sounded like light rain on a tin roof. Tingting was not pleased. Then Gao Jialong stepped up and sang the Red Star song, the biggest hit this year from that blockbuster movie everyone's obsessed with. He actually sounded good, I'll give him that. The crowd went wild. He shot me this smug look like, "Your military fiancé can't do this, can he? Boy, please." He was also trying to impress me. Tingting was staring at him like he was a movie star. She was already mentally planning their wedding based on matching family backgrounds and talent compatibility. Song Qianjin did a martial arts routine, punchy, clean, pretty cool. Someone asked why he didn't join the army with that physique. He waved it off nervously. Between us, I think he's scared of dying, but nobody's gonna say that out loud. Then all eyes landed on me and Wang Zhaodi. Shin Tingting was practically licking her lips waiting for me to embarrass myself. She'd heard rumors back in the military compound that I was lazy and useless. She was ready for a front-row seat to my humiliation. I looked at Zhaodi. "We're going up together," she panicked. "I can't do anything. I'll drag you down. Just clap along to the beat. If you mess up, just clap quieter. Nobody will notice." I walked to the center and announced, "I'll be singing C-Rhyme." And then I sang. Look, I'm not trying to brag, but the whole courtyard went silent. Like, enchanted silent. People were seeing visions of a free-spirited girl dancing by the ocean. Wang Zhaodi forgot she was supposed to be clapping and just stood there listening with her mouth open. When I finished, nobody moved. Then Zhaodi snapped out of it and started clapping like her hands owed her money, and suddenly the whole place erupted. Loudest applause of the night. By a landslide. I sat back down like it was nothing. Honestly, I only know a few songs. I learned this one because the orphanage director loved it. After my performance, nobody else wanted to go up. I can't blame them. Gu Jia, the pretty veteran girl who'd been low-key jealous of me all evening, just stared at me with the most complicated expression.
Yeah.
That's right. Nobody expected the lazy good-for-nothing to absolutely body the talent show. So after I absolutely demolished the talent show, Gu Jia was over there doing mental gymnastics, trying to figure out my background. She was convinced nobody could outshine her unless they had some secret powerful family. Girl, I'm literally an orphan. Calm down. Shen Tingting was also short-circuiting. Her whole plan was to be the star of the evening, and instead she got upstaged by the girl everyone told her was a lazy good-for-nothing. The guy's eyes were practically glowing green looking at me, like wolves spotting a steak. Tingting glanced over at Gao Jialong, The guy she'd been mentally picking out wedding invitations with 5 minutes ago, and caught him staring at me. The betrayal on her face?
Chefesquis.
She even had the audacity to think I was trying to seduce men. Ma'am, I have a fiancé. A military officer fiancé. I am not here for your crush. I checked my watch. 8 o'clock already. And stood up to leave. It's late. I'm heading back. Instantly, like moths to a flame, several male educated youth swarmed in offering to walk me home. Absolutely not. A single woman walking alone at night with some random guy? The gossip would write itself. I have a reputation to protect here. I'm fine alone, it's not far. But Yi Qingqing, the senior sister, stepped in all responsible like, the village is mostly safe, but there are a few sketchy guys around. If something happened to you on your first night, we'd all be in trouble. Fair point. She grabbed Wang Zhaodi. Us two girls will walk you back. I looked at these two and thought, okay, but who's protecting you on the way back? So, I suggested Li Dabing come along too for their return trip. Then Song Qianjin snorted.
Li Dabing.
With those toothpick arms? I'll go. You all know I'm strong. I'm very capable. Something about the way he said, capable, made my skin crawl. I've read too many novels in my past life to not recognize that energy. But whatever, he did have actual muscles, and I didn't want to waste more time debating, so off we went. Me, Wang Zhaodi, Yi Qingqing, Li Dabing, and Song Qianjin. 5 people. To walk me home. This was becoming a whole military escort situation. A bit much, honestly. The entire walk, Song Qianjin kept trying to sidle up next to me, but Wang Zhaodi was like a human shield, blocking him every single time. Bless that girl. He barely got 2 words in before we reached the village chief's house. The gate was wide open, and little Gooden came running out. Educated youth sister, you're back. I waved goodbye to my entourage and walked inside with him. There are like 5 educated youth sisters. How am I supposed to know which one you mean? Gooden chewed on his finger for a second, then had a light bulb moment. Then I'll call you pretty sister from now on. There's only one of those. I laughed. If the other girls heard that, they'd riot. Auntie Song came out and told me to wash up and sleep. She also reminded me, if I wanted to go to the county town tomorrow, I needed to be up at 6 and meet at the big scholar tree at the village entrance. I thanked her and she got all flustered. You city kids and your thank yous. You're making me embarrassed. Back in my room, I didn't even turn on the light. Went straight into my pocket dimension. Because I was starving. That dinner was a war crime. I picked some strawberries, cherries, and blueberries from my magic garden and started popping cherries into my mouth like candy. These were the kind of high-end cherries that cost a fortune in modern times, and here I was eating them like trail mix. For the first time, I thought, you know what, this whole transmigration thing? Not so bad. I've achieved fruit freedom. The taste was so good, I wanted to stomp my feet. After my secret luxury snack session, I washed up, lay down on my bed, and fully expected to toss and turn all night. Instead, out like a light. Way better than that nightmare train ride. Next morning, 5:30 a.m. Still dark outside, but I could hear people stirring. I was lying there in a zombie daze when a tiny milk voice floated through my door. Pretty sister, wake up if you don't get up. The ox cart is leaving. I shot upright like someone poured cold water on me. Got it. Little footsteps pattered away. Today's mission. The black market. I changed into a practical short sleeve and pants combo. Gotta be ready for action. While changing, I noticed the pile of junk I'd confiscated from my deadbeat father still sitting in my pocket dimension. That stuff was polluting my sacred space just by existing. Quick cold water face wash, boiled egg from the dimension, ate one of my last meat buns, noted that I was running low and needed to make more, grabbed my crossbody bag, and headed out. The second I stepped through the door, Auntie Song intercepted me like a linebacker, shoving a paper-wrapped egg pancake into my hands. Eat this on the road. I tried to refuse. Eggs are precious in this era. And she used white flour too? That's basically handing me gold. I couldn't possibly. I glanced over at the family eating breakfast. They all smiled at me with those warm, honest country smiles. No time for proper introductions now. I'd do that tonight. Instead, I pulled an apple from my bag and pressed it into Auntie Song's hands. Thank you, Auntie Song. Skip my fruit portion. Give this to Gooden and the kids. She stood there holding the apple like I just handed her a diamond. By the time her brain rebooted, I was already sprinting toward the village entrance. She brought the apple back to the breakfast table. Every single pair of eyes, her son, her grandkids, her husband, locked onto that apple like it was a holy artifact. Gooden's nose twitched.
Grandma.
That apple smells amazing. Little Erden waddled over on his stubby legs. Grandma, I want apple. Under the pressure of all those stares, Auntie Song had no choice but to slice it up, bigger pieces for the kids, tiny slivers for the adults. One bite, and they were all shook. The sweetness was intense, but not overwhelming, like a gentle stream washing over your soul. And somehow, after eating it, everyone felt lighter, more energized, even happier.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you eat interdimensional magic fruit. You're welcome. I checked my watch. 10 minutes to 6. I sprinted to the big scholar tree like my life depended on it, arrived completely out of breath, and
Noxcart.
just a rickety farm tractor going put-put-put. My heart dropped. Did they leave without me? Then I heard someone waving from the tractor. Comrade Su Nyen. Over here, over here. Wang Zhaodi, grinning like a golden retriever. God bless this girl. Turns out the tractor was heading to the county today instead of the ox cart. 2 cents for a ticket. Apparently the village only has one ox, and it's treated like royalty. The old man who tends it won't even tap it with a whip. When the road gets rough, the humans get out and push. The ox just vibes. I whipped out my 2 cents, paid up, and thanked my past self for wearing pants today. I took a running jump and vaulted onto the back of the tractor in one smooth motion. Wang Zhaodi had her hand out to help me up, but slowly retracted it, stunned. She leaned in and whispered, "Do you dance?" Look, in my previous life, I was too broke for dance classes. I just watched videos online and practiced in my room for years until I could do splits and basic moves. But apparently my tractor vault was a little too graceful and gave me away. Shun Tingting was glaring at me. I stole her spotlight yesterday, and now I'm doing gymnastics onto farm equipment. She was personally offended by my existence at this point. Gao Jialong was watching me with that look again that I've decided we belong together. Look, this guy had already convinced himself I was his soulmate. His logic? My fiancé is just a soldier, and they haven't officially registered the marriage yet, so technically it's not a military marriage, so technically breaking it up isn't illegal. He was planning to make me cry and beg not to marry my fiancé.
Sir.
The audacity is astronomical. But I didn't know about any of the scheming because the tractor lurched forward and nearly launched me into orbit. I grabbed the crossbar for dear life. All the new educated youth were flailing around like ragdolls while the village aunties sat there totally unbothered. One auntie laughed at us. "You city kids are so weak. Can't even handle a tractor ride." Song Qianjin, Mr. Muscles himself, took this as a personal challenge. That was a sneak attack. My body is very impressive. Then he rolled up his sleeve and flexed, while sneaking glances at me. The aunties went dead silent. Technically, this was borderline indecent, but also, they couldn't look away. One auntie straight up turned her head and refused to speak anymore. She was flustered. Gao Jialong was annoyed. He could see right through Song Qianjin's casual flex. But it's summer, guys walk around shirtless all the time, so you can't exactly report someone for showing an arm. Meanwhile, I noticed none of this because I was using every ounce of strength to not fly off the tractor. This thing had roughly 10 times the violence of an ox cart. When we finally hit the main road and it smoothed out, my hands were red and burning. I blew on them gently. The Annie across from me, Wang Dama, cackled. "Oh my, look at that delicate skin. You're new, aren't you? Tomorrow you start field work. How are you going to manage?" Then she gave me a thorough once-over. I could practically hear her brain calculating. Slim waist, big chest, wide hips, good for making babies. But that face? That princess attitude? Her precious son, Jindan, couldn't afford a wife like me. I'd probably drain him dry and never let him leave the bed. Then she leaned over to the Annie next to her and muttered, obviously a fox spirit, Now, here's the thing. Ever since I started eating magic fruit from my pocket dimension, my senses have been superhuman. I heard every single word. And I am not the type to take disrespect lying down. In my modern life, I swallowed my pride constantly because I needed money.
But now?
I have a magical space with spirit spring water. I don't need to take garbage from a stranger on a tractor. I put on my sweetest, most concerned smile. Auntie, is your face okay? She pointed at herself, confused. Me? I nodded earnestly.
I'm fine.
Nothing wrong with me. I let out a relieved sigh. Oh, thank goodness. Back at our military compound, there was a lady whose face twitched just like yours. Ended up paralyzed on one side. Wang Dama's face went white for a second, then all the other aunties exploded laughing, and she realized I'd just played her. She went from 0 to nuclear. You little hussy. Are you cursing me? The other aunties folded their arms and settled in.
Showtime.
See, Wang Dama is obsessed with her precious son Jindan, who happens to be a massive flirt. Every time new female educated youth arrive, he's there sniffing around. So every time Wang Dama sees a pretty girl, she gets triggered thinking about her son making a fool of himself again. I drop the smile. I was showing concern for you, and you respond by calling me names? Where's the respect for the young that you're always preaching about? She fired back. Everyone says you city-educated youth have such good manners. I don't see it. Don't you know about respecting your elders? I smiled again, real sweet. Oh, you believe in respect your elders? But being an elder isn't just about age, is it? Some people only grow older without growing any brain cells. That was the kill shot. Wang Dama launched off her seat, pointing her finger at me. A little tramp like you, I would never let my Jindan marry you, ma'am.
Mum.
Nobody asked about your son. Nobody wants your son. But sure, go off. That's when Song Qianjin saw his hero moment. He stood up and positioned himself in front of me like a human shield. Watch how you talk to our educated youth. You keep calling her names. Well, you're just an old hag yourself. Wang Dama couldn't believe it. She'd literally been admiring this handsome young man 2 minutes ago, and now he was defending me? In her mind, this confirmed everything. I knew it. Fox spirit. Definitely a fox spirit. Wang Dama turned on Song Qianjin like a rabid dog. So this is what you are? First day in the countryside, and you're already tangled up with her. I tugged Song Qianjin's shirt and stepped around him. I can fight my own battles, thanks.
Mum.
Choose your next words carefully. There are nearly 10 pairs of ears on this tractor. My fiancé is a military officer. If you want to keep accusing me of things, we can have the driver take us straight to the police station and let them educate you on what interfering with a military marriage means. Your call. Wang Dama's face went white as a sheet. She'd seen what happens to people who mess with military wives. There was someone in her own village who got publicly criticized and had to do a shame parade through the whole town for bullying a soldier's wife while he was away. She shut right up. But I wasn't done. Also, I think you owe me an apology. You've been calling me a little hussy like I dug up your family's ancestral graves or something. Being forced to apologize in front of everyone? Her face cycled through every color, green, purple, back to green. This woman was used to being the one doing the bullying. Educated youth were usually too polite to fight back. She'd finally met someone who wasn't. The other aunties, having thoroughly enjoyed the show, stepped in to mediate. Come on now. Even lips and teeth bump into each other sometimes. Just say sorry and move on. Wang Dama mumbled through clenched teeth. Sorry. She looked like a rooster who'd just lost a cockfight, head down, spirit crushed. I let it go. Pushing further would make me the unreasonable one. The tractor was fast, I'll give it that. The whole drama wrapped up right as we were pulling into the county town. My butt, however, had lost all feeling. That thing vibrated my skeleton loose. The driver announced, 3 p.m., same spot. Don't be late. Don't make everyone wait for you. Then the tractor belched black smoke and puttered away. I looked at the group and immediately needed to ditch them. I had way too much to do today. I have a relative nearby, gotta go visit them. See you guys later, and I bolted before anyone could invite themselves along. Gu Jia, who'd been silently observing everything, actually enjoyed watching Wang Dama get destroyed. That old lady had trash-talked her before too, but Gu Jia was too proud to stoop to arguing. She respected my approach, but also filed away a mental note. Do not mess with Su Nianyan. Smart girl. Now, mission 1. Find a traditional medicine shop. I was wandering the streets when I spotted an old man sweeping the road in the early morning light. I fished out a few fruit hard candies from my bag and walked up to him. Sir, could I ask you something? Old man Go looked up, saw a young girl, and actually stepped back. Didn't say a word. I'm looking for Chinese medicine shops in town. How many are there? Which way do I go? I noticed his oversized knuckles trembling slightly, and a flash of panic crossed his face. But his eyes lingered on those candies, probably thinking about someone at home who'd want them. His voice came out rough and deep. 3 shops. The one in the center of town has the best prices and quality. He gave me directions to all 3. What I didn't know yet was that these shops used to be his family's ancestral business. He'd given them up to protect his descendants. The weight behind those simple directions was heavier than I could imagine. I could tell something had happened to this man. After he finished, I pulled out 2 white rabbit candies, the good stuff, and thanked him warmly. He tried to push them back, but people were approaching in the distance. An old man and a young woman tugging candy back and forth? That would start rumors. He quickly pocketed them. Thank you, thank you. I'm not just being randomly nice here. I noticed one of his finger joints was bent at an ugly, clearly injured angle. I could guess what kind of education he'd received. It reminded me of my own grandfather. I hoped that somewhere out there someone had shown him a small kindness too. But he didn't offer his story, and I couldn't pry. I headed to the medicine shop. The county town only had a few proper streets, so I found the place quickly. It was beautiful inside, those classic wooden grid shelves with each herb's name written on its compartment. Very organized, very old school. The clerk didn't even look up. What do you need? I rattled off my shopping list. Ginseng slices, dendrobium, lingzhi mushroom, polygonum. A whole lineup of premium herbs, just a tiny bit of each. That made him look up. His eyes said, "Is this girl messing with me?" Then he saw my face and stood up. Because apparently being pretty is a universal trust builder. What do you need all these for? Oh, I just heard they're good for your health and wanted to see what they look like in person. The clerk had seen every kind of weird customer over the years. A tiny amount of each wouldn't cause any trouble. And she was pretty. Pretty people don't do bad things, right? His logic, not mine. He measured everything out. The quality was just okay, county town grade, nothing special. But that's fine. I had plans for these. I paid, walked out, and the second I was out of sight, dumped everything into my pocket dimension right next to the spirit spring water. These little samples were about to get the magical growth treatment. Next stop, the black market. I dressed low-key on purpose. Plain clothes, nothing flashy. I was there to buy, not sell. Only problem? I had no idea where the black market actually was. I wandered around for a while until I ran into Old Man Go again, sitting on a tree stump taking a break. You know what they say, the sweeping grandpa always knows everything. First visit was for directions. Second visit? We're practically old friends now. I sidled up and whispered, "Sir, do you know where the black market is?" He wiped non-existent sweat from his forehead and glanced around nervously. "That's no place for a young girl like you." I studied him for a moment. This street sweeper carried himself differently from ordinary people. There was something refined about him underneath the worn clothes and the broom, and I had a feeling maybe he had things he needed to trade too. I told Old Man Go straight up, I want to trade fine grain for gold and jade. That's why I need the black market. His eyes lit up like I'd just said the magic words. He whispered carefully, I have some jade and gold bars. Would you take those? Would I take jade and gold?
Ish water wet.
My pocket dimension literally EATS that stuff for upgrades. I nodded so fast I probably looked like a bobblehead. He could barely contain himself. His family hadn't eaten proper grain in who knows how long. Ever since whatever happened to them. He told me to meet him at a quiet spot in 15 minutes, then gave me the black market location and some survival tips for navigating it before hurrying off. He went home, raided his secret stash, 3 jade bracelets and 2 small gold bars, and handed the candies I'd given him to his wife. His wife tucked the white rabbit candies into her shirt to save for their grandson. The kid had never even tasted candy before. She popped a fruit-hard candy into her own mouth and nearly cried. Then she tried to give one to old man Ge. "I don't like sweets, that's a woman thing," he said, while his eyes literally caressed the candy for a full second before he turned away. "I'm not crying. You're crying." His wife didn't ask questions. She looked down at her bound feet, sighed, and thought about how she was the only useless mouth left in the household. Their daughter-in-law had died of illness a couple years after the family's downfall, and their son was doing hard labor. These people had clearly once been somebody important. They'd donated most of their fortune to survive, kept only a small courtyard, and were now scraping by. When we met again, I showed up carrying a beat-up basket with weeds piled on top. Classic disguise. He handed me a small cloth bundle. I opened it, and my jaw nearly hit the ground. The jade bracelets had incredible water clarity, translucent, luminous, the kind of pieces that would sell for millions in the modern era. The gold bars were nice too, but those bracelets? I wanted to keep them. Wear them. Start a jade bracelet collection.
But no.
The pocket dimension needed feeding. Sacrifices must be made. I looked at him seriously. These aren't family heirlooms, are they? Because once I take them, no takebacks. You sure about this? I handed him the basket. Inside, under the weeds, 2 bags. One full of pristine white rice. One full of flour so pure and white it made the best store-bought brand look dirty. 30 pounds total. His voice was shaking. Trade.
Trade.
Trade. Gold and jade are just objects. But grain? Grain keeps your family alive. I looked at those bracelets again and felt genuinely guilty. In the future, these would be worth millions. And I was getting them for 30 pounds of grain. My conscience was having a full-on panic attack. Old man Gus saw me frown and completely misread it. Should I throw in another gold bar? And oh.
No, sir.
Listen, I only brought this much grain today. Next time I come to town, I'll bring you more. Otherwise, I can't sleep at night. He relaxed, clutched his flour bag like it was a newborn baby, and thanked me. We agreed I could find him sweeping those same streets whenever I needed him. Then he disappeared with his treasure. The second he was gone, I tossed the bracelets into my pocket dimension. And boom. The black soil expanded, doubled in size just like that. The spirit spring water started flowing faster. And sitting right there, like a little welcome gift from the universe, 3 packets of medicinal seeds. Snow lotus. Honeysuckle. And, wait for it, cordyceps. My eyes went wide. These are the heavyweight champions of traditional medicine. Snow lotus alone sounds like something from a fantasy novel. I carefully planted all 3 seed packets plus the herbs I'd bought that morning. Then I stared at my little pharmaceutical garden and realized something tragic. I, a complete medicine idiot, was now in charge of growing the rarest healing plants known to mankind. I needed books. Herb books. Pharmacy books. Anything. I made a mental note to hit up a used bookstore later. With the main mission accomplished and my mood sky high, I decided to skip the black market entirely. Instead, I headed to the supply cooperative to do some normal shopping. Couldn't go back to the village empty-handed, or people would ask questions. My cotton plants in the dimension were already sprouting and branching out, so I wanted fabric, enough to make quilts and padded winter clothes. My grandfather at the labor farm would need the most plain, inconspicuous fabric possible. I walked up to the fabric counter. The saleswoman was knitting a sweater and didn't even glance up. What do you want? Classic 1970s customer service. The warmth. The hospitality. Truly unmatched. I slid 2 white rabbit candies across the counter. Her eyes flicked down. The knitting vanished under the counter. Suddenly, she was the friendliest person in the whole county. What can I help you with? Bribery?
No.
It's called social lubrication. Do you have black coarse cloth? She looked at my clothes, plain-looking but clearly made of quality material, and was confused why I'd want rough fabric. But hey, the customer wants what the customer wants. She squatted behind the counter and rummaged around for a while. Some of this stuff never even made it to the display because she was too lazy to put it out. Eventually, she surfaced with 2 bolts of black cloth. You want it? I touched it.
Perfect. Yes.
Both. I pulled out all my fabric coupons. She blinked. Both bolts? We have a limit. 1 bolt per person, in one fluid motion, faster than the human eye could track. I produced a big, gorgeous apple from my bag and placed it on top of her knitting. She froze. Looked left. Looked right. Nobody watching. Cough, cough. Don't do that again. She wrapped up both bolts. The saleswoman rang me up at the speed of light. Every second that apple sat on the counter was a second someone might see it. The instant I walked away, she picked it up, took a deep sniff, and practically melted. Red with little streaks of gold, fresh as if it just fell off the tree. She tucked it into her bag, planning to share it with her elderly mother and, quote, trick some pocket money out of her. Entrepreneurial queen. I moved to the snack counter. Bought a pound of egg cake, tried to get pork belly, but they were sold out, so I grabbed 2 pounds of spare ribs instead. By now it was noon, and my stomach was staging a full rebellion. I stashed 1 bolt of cloth into my pocket dimension, crossed the street, and walked into the state-run restaurant like I owned the place. At the window I ordered braised pork belly, a bowl of rice, and stir-fried green beans. Paid my money and coupons, found a seat, and immediately locked eyes with Gao Jialong. The whole educated youth squad was sitting at the next table. Come eat with us, he called over, doing his best charming smile.
Yeah, no.
I did the math in 0.3 seconds. They all ordered plain noodles. If I sat with them, everyone would just try 1 piece of my braised pork, just 1 bite of my green beans, and I'd be left with rice and regret. I'm not stupid. I know how communal eating works. No thanks, I eat slow. While waiting for my food, I spotted the next table's giant meat buns and nearly drooled onto the table. Mental note: order meat buns before leaving. Stuff them into the pocket dimension. Infinite meat bun supply. Then my food arrived and oh
My God.
the braised pork was glistening. Each piece was jiggly, tender, caramelized perfection. I didn't even wait for it to cool, straight into my mouth. This was real cooking, none of that pre-packaged, reheated nonsense from the future. Pure wok energy. This body of mine was skinny as a stick, so dieting was absolutely not on the agenda. I went full savage mode. 1 chopstick of pork, 1 scoop of rice. Repeat. I even crushed a piece of pork into the rice and mixed it with the sauce, creating the ultimate flavor bomb. The educated youth at the next table watched me eat and collectively lost their appetites. Their noodles suddenly tasted like cardboard. Someone swallowed their saliva audibly, which triggered a chain reaction of saliva swallowing across the whole table. Shun Tingting whispered weakly, "Maybe we should order braised pork too?" She was also doing mental gymnastics about how I could afford to eat like this. Her conclusion? Must be the military officer fiancé bankrolling me. Of course. Because a woman can't possibly have her own resources. Sure, Ting.
Sure.
Nobody responded to her suggestion, though. 1 plate of braised pork split between that many people? That's a civil war waiting to happen. Then Gao Jialong saw his opening. He called out to the server with maximum theatrical confidence. 1 order of braised pork over here. Then, turning to the group with a generous wave, "My treat, everyone." Song Qianjin mentally rolled his eyes so hard they nearly got stuck. That show-off. He did it again, but the server was not having it. "If you want to order, come to the window." Gao Jialong's whole cool guy moment deflated like a punctured balloon. Fortunately for his ego, I didn't even notice. I was too busy demolishing my food like a natural disaster. Only Gu Jiao was actually paying attention to the right things. She clocked the fabric I bought and the meat. She realized my spending power was similar to hers. She just kept it low-key, filed it away. After vacuuming up every grain of rice, I went back to the window and ordered 10 meat buns. The lady packed them in oil paper. I grabbed them, found a quiet spot, and whoosh, into the dimension they went. Infinite snack storage, baby. It was only 1 o'clock. I still had time, and I started thinking, maybe I should let my fiancé know I arrived safely. He'd been worried about me. After some internal debate, I headed to the post office. They actually had a telephone. A real one. There was a line and a dedicated operator who dialed for you, timed the call, and the second you said, "hang up," click.
Done. No merci.
No, okay, bye, love you, no, you hang up first. I watched people ahead of me cut off mid-sentence at exactly X minutes and 59 seconds to save money. Ruthless efficiency. When my turn came, I gave them my future in-law's number. Lumon picked up. Hello. Hello, auntie. It's Su Nyan Nyan. Just calling to let you know I arrived safely. Her tone softened immediately. She asked if I needed anything, told me to ask Lu Huijin for whatever I wanted. I told her he'd already arranged everything, and I was staying at the village chief's house. Also, thank you for the apples you sent us. They were delicious. What she didn't say was that her husband's bad leg had actually been feeling better since eating them. Magic fruit strikes again, though she didn't know why. Oh, I wish I'd sent more. I had no idea you liked them so much. She chuckled when I kept calling her son Comrade Lu. She told me he'd already gone back to his base, gave me some info about how they'd be unreachable for a while, and we chatted for a bit longer. I hung up and discovered I'd been talking for 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Paid up without complaint. Then I decided to write Lu Huijin a letter. Bought some stationery and started writing carefully, character by character. And as I wrote, an image of him floated into my mind. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, that crisp military uniform. I caught myself and had a little internal pep talk. Remember the strategy. Grab the big fish, release the small ones. You grabbed the big one.
Just. Hope you grabbed right.
By the time I finished everything and left the post office, it was already 2 p.m. I headed toward the tractor pickup point. I could hear the commotion before I even got close. Wang Dama, yes, my favorite person, was running her mouth again. She said she has a relative here. Probably got a ride home already. Wang Zhaodi defended me. No way. We literally saw her eating at the state restaurant at lunch. Wang Dama snorted. Some relative. Didn't even feed her lunch. And now we're all supposed to wait for her? Humph. Who knows if this relative even exists, ma'am.
Mum.
We've been through this. Do you want another trip to the police station conversation? So I figured out what happened. Everyone had arrived early and was just waiting around in the blazing heat for me. Which fair, I was cutting it close. But Wang Dama? She saw an opportunity to run her mouth and she seized it. The tractor driver, Shaoli, was stress-smoking and losing his patience. Lady, please. It's hot. I said 3 o'clock. If you can't wait, walk home. Wang Dama went nuclear. Oh, so you're one of them too. Got one look at that pretty face and lost your mind? Too bad there's a line ahead of you, buddy. I don't know what spell she's cast on all of you men. In her head she was calling me way worse, but since she'd been forced to apologize. Just that morning, she kept the really nasty stuff internal. Progress, I guess? Lu Auntie spotted me approaching and started tugging Wang Dama's sleeve. Shut up, she's coming. But that just made her dig in harder. The more people tried to stop her, the louder she got. It's like her spine is made of pure defiance. She looked at Shaoli's silence and thought she'd struck a nerve. Oh wow, I was right. One look at the fox spirit, and your soul got stolen. She didn't even have to try. Song Qianjin and Gao Jialong glanced at poor Shaoli and mentally dismissed him. A toad wanting to eat swan meat. Not even worth considering as competition. Shin Tingting was watching the whole thing with popcorn energy. She didn't care who won. Any scandal that damaged MY reputation was a win for her. Gu Jia had been fanning herself with a handkerchief, bored out of her mind, until she spotted me walking up. She took a little breath.
Here we go again.
Shaoli was at his limit. He'd been holding back because Wang Dama was technically a distant relative, but enough was enough. Andy, you're destroying a young woman's reputation with this garbage. I'm reporting this to the village chief. Wang Dama dropped to the ground. Full theatrical meltdown. OH heavens. Oh Lord. What kind of world is this where people defend fox spirits? Someone save me. I could see passers-by starting to rubberneck. She'd had her performance. Time to end this. I walked straight toward her, smiling. She saw me coming with that smile and thought, oh good, the little city girl is scared. These educated youth are always too thin-skinned to fight. She lifted her chin, ready to graciously accept my apology. Smack. My palm connected with her face so fast she didn't even process it. Her cheek instantly swelled red. She stared at me, completely short-circuited. Fox spirit. Fox spirit. You're a fox spirit. I mean, what normal person slaps you while smiling? Fair question, honestly. Smack. Other cheek. Auntie, you seem to be having a nightmare. Just helping you wake up. Now the other aunties saw their buddy take 2 clean hits and started puffing up. They lived together, gossiped together. An attack on one was an attack on all. They exchanged looks and started closing in, ready to give me a piece of their collective mind. I saw it coming. This is how people work. They think what she said was over the line, but if you hit her, suddenly you're the one who went too far. Classic. Time for phase 2. I pulled out a handful of fruit hard candies from my bag and started distributing them. One for each auntie, then had Wang Zhaodi pass them out to the educated youth and Shaoli. Everyone got one. Everyone except Wang Dama. I'm sorry for making everyone wait in this heat. Please have some candy to sweeten the wait. This wasn't about being nice. This was strategy. I put Wang Dama on an island. She was the only person without candy. The only person on the wrong side. And you know what happened? The aunties looked at their candy, looked at each other, and immediately switched teams. Oh, this girl didn't mean any harm. The tractor wasn't leaving until 3 anyway. Suehua, you really shouldn't say those things. Nobody wants to hear it. She came all the way from the city to help us. We can't make her feel unwelcome, see? A little sugar, and the whole wind changes direction. Humans are beautifully predictable. But then, and I genuinely did not see this coming, Wang Dama jumped up from the ground and shrieked, "Why does everyone get candy but me, ma'am?"
Mum.
I just slapped you twice and you're mad about the candy? I didn't even dignify that with a response. I vaulted onto the tractor in one jump. Let's not waste everyone's time. Let's go. Everyone scrambled on. Wang Dama bit down on her old yellow teeth and climbed up too. What was she gonna do, walk? There was no Uber in 1970s rural China. The afternoon ride was even worse than the morning. The midday sun was absolutely cooking us. Between the heat and the vibration, I felt like a piece of jerky being slow-dried on a washing machine. One of the aunties noticed my bolt of black coarse cloth and couldn't resist commenting, "Comrade Sue, is this your first time buying fabric? Why would you buy coarse cloth? With your delicate skin, it'll scratch you raw. I guarantee you'll regret it within 2 days. Why not sell some to us? We'll pay full price." Nice try, auntie. Real smooth attempt at getting my fabric. I didn't even open my eyes. I came to the countryside to support national development. I'm here to endure hardship, dead silence. Then every auntie on that tractor concluded I was an idiot. A well-meaning, patriotic idiot. They mumbled something about not knowing how good she has it, and dropped the subject. Shun Tingting was silently seething. She'd already written a letter home asking her family to investigate my background. She was going to figure out what kind of monster I really was. Meanwhile, I was trying very hard not to vomit from the tractor's vibrations. Wang Zhaodi was holding her water canteen, wanting to offer me a sip, but too shy to ask in case I thought it was gross. No need, sweetheart. I reached into my bag, actually into my pocket dimension, pulled out a spirit spring-washed apple, and bit into it with the ferocity of someone who'd just won a war and earned her snack. After that magic apple hit my bloodstream, the world was beautiful again. We pulled into the village, and everyone scattered. Aunties rushing home to feed chickens, educated youth dragging themselves to bed. But first, Shaoli the tractor driver shuffled up to me looking like a guilty puppy. "I'm sorry about the misunderstanding." He clearly had zero experience talking to women because after that one sentence he just stood there like a frozen computer. I waved him off. "It's fine, really. Poor guy." I speed-walked to the village chief's house. It was 2:40, and everyone was out working. The door was unlocked, the courtyard dead quiet. I pulled out the spare ribs from my pocket dimension, brought them to the kitchen, then immediately thought, wait, it's like 100 degrees. These will go rancid in 2 hours. Back into the dimension they went. After a morning of tractor warfare, verbal combat, and secret black market trading, I was sticky. Went straight into my pocket dimension, took a proper bath, changed into pajamas, and collapsed onto the bed. I woke up at 5 to the sound of Annie Song coming back to start dinner. During non-busy seasons, someone always comes home early to cook so the family can eat right when they finish work. Smart system. I changed clothes, grabbed the 2 pounds of spare ribs, and headed out. Annie Song was on a little stool washing vegetables in the yard. "Oh, you're up. If you want any vegetables, just go pull some from the garden." The vegetable plot looked like a little army, everything planted in perfect rows. Peak countryside fresh produce season. I walked into the kitchen with the ribs. "Annie Song, I bought 2 pounds of spare ribs in town. Let's cook them for everyone tonight." She shot up from her stool and rushed in. "Absolutely not. You keep those for yourself. I'll salt the extras so they'll last longer." See, in the countryside, meat only shows up at weddings, funerals, and the annual village pig slaughter. 2 pounds of ribs was basically Christmas dinner. I blocked her. Yesterday, I tried to pay Uncle Song rent, and he refused. "If you won't even let me contribute 2 pounds of ribs, I'll be too embarrassed to keep living here." I actually wanted pork belly, but they were sold out. She could tell I wasn't going to budge. "Fine. Just know you're welcome here." That room would be empty anyway, but I understood the reality. In this era, even visiting your parents' house meant bringing your own food. I was going to be here for months. No way was I freeloading. So I went back to my room and brought out 3 bags of grain, flour, rice, and yellow millet, and placed them in the kitchen. Auntie Song had just sat back down to wash vegetables when she saw me hauling more stuff in. She literally jumped off her stool. "Oh, my mother in heaven. Stop bringing things. Old Song is going to yell at me. It's just flour, rice, and millet." She opened the flour bag and her face went as white as its contents. This flour was whiter than my face. She'd never seen anything this premium. This is too much. "I'll cook it separately for you." "No, no, no. Everyone eats together. I'm not here to make extra work." Annie Song was mentally calculating my spending. Ribs, 3 kinds of grain, the apple this morning. This girl spent money like she had holes in her pockets. But she was a city girl with a military officer fiancé, so maybe this was normal? She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it. Not her place. Then I dropped the real bomb. "Annie Song, let me cook the ribs tonight. It's my first real evening here. Let me show you what I can do." She'd figured out by now that arguing with me was pointless. "Fine.
Just tell me what
You need." For big potatoes, green onions, ginger, garlic, and a little chili. I was making 2 dishes from those ribs. Braised ribs with potatoes and steamed pork ribs with rice flour. Go big or go home. She came back with everything washed and ready, then walked into the kitchen and froze. I'd already set out cooking oil and seasonings for my stash.
Child.
"You brought your own oil." Look, I came prepared. I chopped the ribs into pieces and soaked them in cold water while I prepped, cubed the potatoes, minced the aromatics, and sliced just a tiny bit of chili, since there were kids in the house. For the steamed ribs, I coated them in flour, washed them clean, mixed in ginger and seasonings, and set them aside to marinate. Then came the moment of truth. I poured oil into the wok. Auntie Song's eyes nearly popped out of her skull. In the village, cooking with oil meant wiping the inside of the wok with a cotton rag that had touched oil once in its life. A faint oil memory. The ghost of oil. I was pouring actual, liquid, visible oil into the pan. Like a person. Like a person who respects food. Auntie Song had been standing in the kitchen doorway watching, but when the oil hit the wok, she physically turned around and walked away. She couldn't watch. She was afraid the tears of heartbreak would drip from the corners of her mouth. Inside, I was caramelizing sugar on the ribs, tossing in the potatoes, giving everything a good stir, adding hot water, and covering the lid. Let it bubble away. Then I set up the steamer with the marinated ribs on a bed of potato slices, and got that going too. The smell hit the courtyard like a freight train. Auntie Song stood outside, inhaling deeply, completely reevaluating me. She'd assumed I was some spoiled princess who'd never touched a kitchen. Instead, I was moving through that cooking space like a seasoned pro, chopping, seasoning, timing 2 dishes simultaneously. She had a brief thought. If this girl didn't have a fiancé, I'd introduce her to my son immediately. Then she reconsidered. Actually, my son probably isn't good enough for her. She's got a high school education, and she can cook like this. Smart woman, Auntie Song. Very realistic self-assessment. Auntie Song handed me a basin of water to wash my hands the second I stepped out of the kitchen. The house only had two big woks. I'd commandeered one for the braised ribs and steamer combo, so she took the other one and started chopping up vegetables. This family was mostly grown men with grown man appetites, so she needed volume. By 6 o'clock, everything was ready. At my insistence, we'd made a mixed rice porridge, half regular rice, half millet, using the grain I'd brought. Summer meant no rush to serve before things got cold, so we laid everything out on the table. Then Auntie Song pulled out a special bowl, the one from her daughter's wedding set, and handed it to me. Use this from now on. I already scalded it clean. I almost teared up. I'd been too awkward to ask about having my own bowl, and she just
Handled it.
This woman reads minds. The family started arriving home from the fields, and the second they hit the front gate, the smell attacked them. Song Lao-san, third brother Song, announced loudly. This is definitely not Mom's cooking. Mom can't make anything smell this good. Song Lao-si, fourth brother, smacked him on the back. I'm telling Mom you said that. Hey, you little snitch. Then Gooden and Erden came barreling in like tiny cannonballs. They'd been helping in the fields all afternoon and were dead tired, but that aroma hit their nostrils, and they activated. Gooden burst into the courtyard. Wow, Grandma, you made all this, Erden echoed. So amazing. Auntie Song tapped Gooden's hand. Go wash up first. And this meat isn't mine. Educated youth Sue made it. You want to eat? Ask her if she'll let you. Gooden grabbed Erden's tiny hand, marched to the wash basin, scrubbed up, then walked over to me with the most serious face a small child can make. Pretty sister, can I eat meat tonight? My heart. Good kids always get to eat. He nearly exploded with joy. Uncle Song came in, saw the spread, and immediately frowned. Not angry, just uncomfortable. You don't need to go to this much trouble. This is too generous. It's nothing much, really. Consider it a late thank you for taking me in. He waved his hands and told me to never do this again. In his mind, his old army buddy asked him for a favor, and if he couldn't even do that, what kind of brother was he? Then Song brothers 3 and 4 walked in and saw me for the first time. They'd heard a female educated youth was staying at the house, but hadn't thought much of it. Now they were standing there looking like someone had whacked them with a beauty hammer. They went all stiff and awkward, couldn't even make eye contact. Auntie Song caught the vibe immediately and cleared her throat like a drill sergeant. Comrade Sue will be living here for 2 or 3 months. If anyone gives her trouble, you'll answer to me. Song Lao-sen stared at the floor. Mom, I'm not that kind of guy. Everyone sat down. You could feel the anticipation vibrating through the table. They were ready to launch. I smiled. Auntie Song, everyone's hungry. Shall we start? Eat. Song Lao-da, eldest brother, had been eyeing the steamed ribs since he sat down. The instant the green light was given, his chopsticks flew. He bit through the crispy flour coating into the juicy, tender meat underneath, savory, soft, bursting with flavor. He'd never seen this cooking method before. His brain short-circuited from deliciousness. Gooden took one bite and yelled, "This meat is so good. So yummy." Then he went face down into his bowl and didn't come up for air. His little teeth stripped those rib bones so clean that the family dog watched and shook its head in defeat. When he finished the meat, he discovered the potato slices underneath had absorbed all the pork drippings. His eyes went wide. The potatoes were just as good. The braised ribs with potatoes got the same reaction, pure amazement. Then they tried the rice porridge. Silence. Then, sweet mother of, how did you make porridge taste like this? I've been drinking porridge my entire life, and it's never tasted this good. One bowl, and the whole day's exhaustion vanished. Song Lao-sen said he felt like he could go back to the fields for another half day. That's the spirit spring water doing its thing, but they didn't need to know that. Auntie Song side-eyed Lao-sen. That's Comrade Sue's rice. Thank her, not me. Lao-sen mentally decided he'd carry extra water to the house later tonight. City girls like being clean. More water equals more gratitude equals more magical food. Smart boy. Uncle Song gave Auntie Song a look and turned to me. You really don't need to bring so much. We're not short on food here. I waved it off. I'd literally just given them some ribs and grain, and the whole family was acting like I'd donated a kidney. These were good people. Then Auntie Song leaned over to Uncle Song. This girl has such delicate skin. Can you give her lighter work tomorrow? One day of hard labor and she'll peel like a boiled egg. I jumped in. No, really, I can handle regular work. I meant it. I was representing military wives out here. I wanted to blend in with the other educated youth, keep my head down, and quietly figure out where my grandfather's labor farm was so I could help him. Uncle Song relaxed. If I'd actually asked for easy work, he would have felt like that dinner came with strings attached. Just do what you can. You're not here for work points. Don't push yourself too hard. I nodded, then casually shifted the conversation. By the way, Uncle Song, I heard there are quite a few educated youth settlements around here. Is this area really that popular? Uncle Song's hand twitched toward his cigarettes. City kids who couldn't do manual labor were a headache for every village. Nobody wanted them. Every season was a game of hot potato trying to pass off the quotas to other brigades. Yeah, every village around here has them. Even the nearby farms. My ears perked up. Farms have educated youth too. Song Lausen jumped in excitedly. OH, I know about this. I helped transport educated youth to one of those farms before. Wow, really? That's impressive. What are the farms like? That was all the encouragement he needed. He launched into a full briefing, the farm size, layout, what people did there, and most importantly, how to get there. 10 li from the village. Half an hour by bicycle. My eyes flickered. Mental note. Buy a bicycle next time I'm in town. Auntie Song noticed Lausen getting way too chatty and way too enthusiastic, his empty porridge bowl forgotten. She grabbed her chopsticks and rapped the table. That's enough out of you. Meanwhile, back at the Su household, my lovely former family, things were not going well. After getting kicked out of their own house, the one I'd reclaimed, my deadbeat father and his precious children had to slink off to a cheap motel for the night.
No lagi, no dignity, nei borsgaukin.
But Father Su would rather die than admit what happened. He held his head high and swallowed his broken teeth. Lying in that motel bed, Su Aigua, Su Xiuhong, and Su Ruhua all spent a solid hour mentally cursing my name. A real family bonding activity. Now here's the thing about Su Ruhua. She's a reborn soul, just like me. In her previous life, none of this happened. She was starting to wonder if stealing my boyfriend in this timeline triggered some kind of butterfly effect. You think? She clenched her fists in the dark. I'm not living this life to suffer. I lived decades already. This time, I'm getting rich and getting loved. Her target? Heat Sung-hao, the guy she'd swiped from the original Su Nyenyen. She called him a green rookie and was confident she could wrap him around her finger. Apparently, her abusive ex-husband from her past life had accidentally taught her all kinds of manipulation skills, and now she was going to put them to good use. Girl, you are plotting in a motel room after getting evicted from your own house because of me. But sure, believe in yourself. The delusion is almost inspiring. Back at the village, a beam of morning sunlight hit my face and Gooden's little knock came right on schedule. Pretty sister, time to get up. Coming, I did my countdown 3, 2, 1 and launched myself out of bed. Today was my first day of actual farm work. I put on a military green shirt and pants combo. Practical, durable, revolutionary chic.
Now, I'd noticed something
interesting about my body lately. Ever since I started drinking spirit spring water and eating dimension fruit, this body had undergone a sort of second puberty. The flesh was redistributing itself, moving from my waist to areas that needed more volume, like it had its own real estate development plan. I looked in the mirror and thought, Lu Huijin, you lucky dog. You better be bringing something equally impressive to this marriage, or I'm getting ripped off. I tied my hair up in a bun. Everyone here does braids, but I find them annoying, always whipping around, grabbed my toiletries, and headed to the yard. I was squatting outside brushing my teeth when I noticed Gooden staring at me with scientific curiosity. What's up, Gooden? He pointed at my toothbrush. That thing looks pretty nice. I usually just use a willow twig. I remembered I'd packed extras. I'll give you one, he panicked. And oh. If Grandma finds out I took something from you, she'll kill me. Just come eat breakfast, pretty sister. Smart kid. I dropped it immediately. There's an old saying, give someone a bowl of rice and they're grateful. Give them a whole bag and they'll resent you. Boundaries matter. Breakfast was simple, millet porridge with pickled vegetables and steamed buns. But when I sat down, my bowl was suspiciously thicker than everyone else's. The porridge was practically a paste, with a shimmering layer of rice oil on top. Auntie Song had clearly given me the premium serving. Auntie Song, can you give me the thin stuff next time? I prefer watery porridge in the morning. I can't finish the thick kind. Her eye twitched. This girl prefers thin porridge? In an era where calories are currency? She knew exactly what I was doing, trying to leave more food for the family. Her gaze softened even more. This sweet, considerate girl. I felt her loving stare burning into my skull and awkwardly powered through the thick porridge. My stomach was about to burst by the last spoonful. Then it was time for work. The new educated youth were assigned to weeding, the beginner-friendly task. Each person got a section of cornfield, and your work points depended on how much you cleared. I looked at my section and thought, weeding? I can do this. Weeds look totally different from corn. Easy. I grabbed my sickle, squatted down, and started pulling. Reality check in 3,
2, 1.
Within minutes, my hands had angry red grooves carved into them. Corn leaves had slashed tiny cuts across my face.
My neck was itchy from who knows what.
The sickle, which I'd imagined would slice through weeds like butter, had apparently developed its own personality. I'd swing hard, and it would land soft, like hitting the ground with a pool noodle. I glanced over at the other new educated youth. They looked equally destroyed. Small comfort. Then a male educated youth from a neighboring plot walked over, a veteran who'd been here 2 years. He smiled encouragingly. Don't worry, Comrade Sue. Once I finish my section, I'll come help you. He was an 8 work points a day guy. Saving some energy to help the pretty new girl was no problem at all. Meanwhile, Shun Tingting was watching this scene unfold with her jaw on the ground. She'd specifically worn a skirt today. A skirt. To the fields. To look cute, and not a single man had offered to help her. She's a married woman. Tingting fumed internally. Why do they keep flocking to her? Honey, you wore a skirt to weed a cornfield. That's not fashion. That's a cry for help. I'd been squatting in that cornfield pulling weeds for so long that when I heard someone talking to me and tried to stand up out of politeness, my vision went completely black. I nearly face-planted right there. The guy, Shindali, apparently, reached out to catch me, but I deliberately dropped to the ground on my own and braced myself with one hand. Thanks, but no thanks. I came to the countryside to endure hardship and build a new nation. You helping me would compromise my development. I didn't even remember his name. But I was starting to understand something very clearly. With the original Su Nyenyen's face and no powerful backing, being in the countryside was like being a lamb in a wolf den. Too many eyes. Too many hungry stares. Any kindness from a man came with invisible strings attached. He laughed awkwardly. Well, if you ever need anything, just call, and walked back to his section. Within seconds, I could hear the guys over there cackling and teasing him. Didn't need to hear the words to know what they were saying. Shin Tingting, meanwhile, was having her own crisis. Her skirt cute?
Yes.
Practical for weeding a cornfield? Absolutely not. She was contorting herself trying to work without getting dirt on the fabric, sweating buckets. Miserable. But she was smart enough not to be the first one to quit. Her strategy? Wait for me to take a break first, then follow. So she kept side-eyeing me. Minutes passed. An hour. Her lips were cracking from dehydration.
And I did not.
Stop. Good Lord, this woman is a machine, she thought. Wang Zhaodi was going even harder. That girl was built different. Now, was I actually dying inside? 100%. I was thirsty, exhausted, and my hands looked like I'd been fighting a cheese grater. But I had a secret weapon. I sneakily washed my hands, then reached into my pocket, actually my pocket dimension, and popped a cherry tomato into my mouth.
Oh, my God.
A wave of icy coolness washed through my entire body. These tomatoes were the perfect balance of sweet and tangy with a firm, satisfying bite. None of that mushy supermarket garbage. I ate several more, and my body temperature literally dropped. I felt reborn. Tingting finally noticed something was off and came over to investigate, probably hoping to catch me slacking. Instead, she found me grinning like an idiot while swinging my sickle.
Is she
mentally ill? Who smiles while weeding? She looked like she was about to faint from heat stroke, and here I was having the time of my life. She tried the casual approach. Nyen Nyen, aren't you tired? Didn't even look up. Nope. I'm contributing to the nation. She nearly fell over backwards. She's actually insane. I added sweetly. But if you're tired, Tingtingjia, go rest. Weren't you always saying us city girls are too delicate? Perfectly timed. Because the work point inspector chose that exact moment to walk by. He took one look at Tingting standing there in her pretty skirt in the middle of a cornfield and delivered the kill shot. We must embrace the spirit of not fearing hardship. You should learn from comrade Su Nyen Nyen. Tingting wanted to argue but swallowed it. Nobody else was resting. She licked her cracked lips and got back to work. I almost felt bad. Almost. Even with my magic fruit boosts, by the time the lunch bell rang, I was a wilted flower. I sprinted to the village chief's house like a rabbit fleeing a hawk. I was sweaty, dirt-caked, and itchy everywhere from the corn leaves. Unbearable. I locked my door, grabbed my bath bucket, dove into the pocket dimension, filled the bucket with stream water plus a splash of spirit spring water, and climbed in. The second that cool water touched my skin, all the heat and irritation just
dissolved?
Within minutes, every single tiny scratch and cut from the corn leaves had vanished. Healed completely. My skin was smooth and white again. Spirit Spring Water is the ultimate skincare product, and Big Pharma will never know. I heard people returning outside, quickly rinsed off, changed, and walked out looking fresh as a daisy. Uncle Song glanced at me and did a double take. He'd inspected the new educated youth that morning and expected me to look like I'd been through a war. Instead, I looked like I'd just come from a spa. How are you holding up? Pretty good. Just a bit clumsy with the technique still. Auntie Song brought out the last dish and added, those corn leaves will cut you up something fierce. You should wrap a headscarf around her face and neck next time. Then she looked at my face, searching for scratch marks, and found absolutely nothing. Just pristine, glowing skin. She blinked. I could see her brain trying to compute. Great advice, Auntie Song. I'll do that this afternoon. We all started eating and the conversation died. Everyone was too hungry to talk. Then suddenly, two people burst through the gate. Village chief. Village chief. My daughter-in-law is in labor. It's going wrong. She's bleeding badly. The midwife can't stop it. We need the tractor to get her to the county hospital now. Old Lee stood there drenched in sweat, his fingers twisting together involuntarily. This was the same man who'd helped me carry my luggage when I first arrived. Uncle Song jumped up immediately. Let's go. I'll arrange the tractor. The tractor was village property. The one tractor they'd won as a prize for being an advanced brigade. Using it privately required approval from both the village chief and the driver. Bureaucracy doesn't pause for emergencies in 1970s China. I stood up too. My heart clenched. This man had been kind to me on my very first day. I brought some ginseng slices in my luggage. Let me come along. They might help keep her conscious until she reaches the hospital. Old Lee's brain was too scrambled to question a 20-something girl carrying premium ginseng. He just nodded frantically. Auntie Song watched me dash to my room with a worried look. Sticking her neck out in situations like this could be risky. If things went wrong, people might blame you. But Old Lee's daughter-in-law was also her friend, so maybe it was worth it? Outside, Old Lee split up the rescue operation. His second son would take me to the house while he and Uncle Song went for the tractor. The second son, a simple, tongue-tied farm boy, managed exactly one sentence. Thanks, educated youth. No problem. Let's run. And we ran. Full sprint through the field paths. We blazed right past the educated youth dining area, where everyone was eating outside. Tingting's head popped up. Where are they going in such a hurry? An older educated youth filled her in. Old Lee's daughter-in-law is having a difficult birth. That's his third son running with her. Word travels fast in a village. The veteran educated youth had already heard the aunties discussing it. The general consensus? This one probably wasn't going to make it. Wait, Old Lee? The ox cart driver. Shin Tingting raised an eyebrow as I sprinted past with old Lee's son. In her expert medical opinion, based on exactly zero medical knowledge, I was a sparrow trying to fight a rooster. Completely out of my league. She also remembered that old Lee had been rude to her on day one with the ox cart, so in her mind, his family's emergency was basically karma. Then she chugged her watery porridge, so thin you could see a reflection in it, and ran off to watch the drama unfold. Because of course she did. The other new educated youth were too exhausted to care.
Until they heard I was involved.
Then suddenly everyone was interested. Within 5 minutes, the entire educated youth population was trailing behind like a parade. When Lee Laosin brought me to the house, his mother took one look at me and thought, "What's this child going to do?" But the second she heard ginseng slices, I was practically carried inside on a red carpet. The midwife saw me walk in, and I swear she used me as her exit strategy. She mumbled some excuses and bolted. Just straight up abandoned ship. The Annies outside were shocked. This midwife was famous across 10 villages. If SHE was giving up, the situation must be hopeless. But then word spread about the ginseng, so everyone decided to stick around for the results. Outside, the gossip was flowing. Ginseng slices? Like actual ginseng? This educated youth girl is really something, and Hirwang Dama was calling her a tramp. Turns out she's genuinely generous. That's a military wife for you, real class. Since when do you need ginseng to have a baby? This kid's gonna be expensive. We peasants could never. Ting Ting, lurking in the outer circle, snorted. What a waste. She could have traded that ginseng for braised pork. This girl's priorities, I swear. Inside, the smell of blood hit me like a wall. The young mother was ghost white, lips completely drained of color. She looked like she was halfway to the other side already. I moved fast. Handed the ginseng slices to the person next to me. Get me hot water and boil these into a broth. While they worked on that, I poured a cup of hot water and, when nobody was looking, dropped 2 drops of spirit spring water into it. The woman was still barely conscious. Thank God. I got her to open her mouth and drink, then had her hold a ginseng slice under her tongue. When the ginseng broth arrived, we carefully fed it to her. The effect was almost immediate. The young mother's body went from icy cold to warm. Little threads of heat flowed through her, and color started creeping back into her face. Most importantly, the bleeding stopped. Old Lee's wife looked at the bed, saw the blood had stopped flowing, and gasped, "The living Buddha has answered our prayers." Then she slapped her own mouth. "You can't say stuff like that these days," and quickly switched to thanking me instead. Outside, the tractor came putt-putt putting up to the door. Old Lee didn't care about cleanliness anymore. He threw a straw mat down, piled on every blanket in the house, and yelled for them to bring his daughter-in-law out. They wrapped her head up tight, so not even a breeze could touch her, and loaded her onto the tractor for the hospital. After they left, Uncle Song and I walked home. They'd saved food for us, but after spending my lunch break surrounded by the smell of blood, I had zero appetite. I forced down a few spoonfuls of porridge and retreated to my room. Only after eating some magic fruit in my pocket dimension did my stomach finally unclench. That afternoon, I went back to the fields, and suddenly, I was a celebrity. Every villager I passed smiled and waved. I smiled back at everyone, whether I knew them or not. At the work site, the other educated youth swarmed me with questions and compliments. Summary of all their comments. "You're amazing," I smiled modestly. It wasn't me that was amazing, it was the spirit spring water. But I couldn't exactly say, "Thanks, my interdimensional magic water did all the work." If only praise could be converted into work point exemptions. Everyone dispersed, and it was back to weeding. This time I wrapped my shirt around my head turban style, leaving only my eyes exposed. Anti-corn leaf armor. Engaged. Ting Ting watched me and was furious. She hadn't thought of it first. She looked down at the red scratches all over her arms, remembered her sunburned face from the mirror at lunch, and had a vision of herself with the dark, weather-beaten cheekbones of the village women. The horror. "Sun Yin Yen is so crafty," she fumed, and attacked the weeds with rage-powered energy. Too much energy, actually. She accidentally hacked down a corn stalk. The work point inspector materialized like a ghost. Do you know how to weed? Ting Ting kept her head down, hoping he'd move on. I'm talking to you, skirt girl. Stop hiding. This is food you just destroyed. Those big eyes of yours. Are they just decoration? This is a warning. Don't let it happen again. Ting Ting was mid-rage when her brain registered big eyes as a compliment.
She
Blushed and nodded shyly. The inspector walked away completely bewildered. What is wrong with these city kids? End of day, the scores were announced. Su Niannian, 7 points. Wang Zhaodi, 9 points. Shin Tingting, 5 points. Song Qianjin, 10 points. Gao Jialong, 7 points. Song Qianjin puffed up like a peacock. He'd finished early and spent the rest of the afternoon under a tree, waiting for me to come begging for help. I never did. Stubborn little, he thought, equal parts annoyed and impressed. We all headed home, exhausted. I fell in with the Song family, and we walked together. Then, passing by a house, we heard screaming from inside. Somebody help.
please.
My donkey Dan is choking. Song Lao Sen charged in. Everyone followed. I pushed through the crowd to find a 5-year-old boy clutching his throat, face turning purple. His terrified mother was babbling. He's always been greedy. I gave him some peanuts and he tried to eat them all before we got home. One got stuck. The mother was pounding his back, which was only making it worse. Nobody in the entire crowd knew what to do. They'd never seen this before. And I suddenly realized the Heimlich maneuver. The thing that gets plastered across every first aid poster in the modern world. The technique every person in 2024 knows about from social media. Here, in the 1970s countryside, not a single soul had heard of it. I could not watch a child die in front of me. Let me through. Let me through. The crowd saw me. The girl who'd just saved old Lee's daughter-in-law hours ago and parted like the Red Sea. And right there in front of everyone, I walked straight behind little Donkey Dan, made a fist with one hand, wrapped the other around it, lifted him up, and squeezed his abdomen in sharp upward thrusts.
Once. Twice.
3 times.
Pop.
Out came the peanut. The crowd was stunned. His mom had tried fingers, chopsticks, everything, nothing worked. And here I was, using a technique that wouldn't be common knowledge for decades, casually saving her kid's life in under 30 seconds. Donkey Dan grabbed his mom and started wailing. His mom was crying, thanking me, crying some more. The whole neighborhood was buzzing. Then came the questions I was dreading. Wait, educated youth Sue knows medicine? Can she treat headaches and fevers too? Obviously. Don't disrespect her like that. I stood there thinking, guys, I literally just squeezed a kid. I'm not a doctor. I'm a lucky cat who caught a dead mouse. But then Shaoli, the tractor driver, showed up and poured gasoline on the fire. He'd just come back from the hospital where he dropped off old Lee's daughter-in-law, and he decided to make a public announcement. Let me say something fair about Comrade Sue. I waited at that hospital for hours, and when the doctor finally came out, you know what he said? Whoever stopped her bleeding is incredible. Without that, she'd be dead. That was Su Niannian. Oh no. The villagers' eyes went from warm to blazing. See, most educated youth walked around with their noses in the air. All their education and culture didn't mean anything to regular farmers. But someone with practical skills? Someone who could actually help? That was gold. Wang Dama was lurking at the edge of the crowd, suddenly very quiet and very nervous. If I'd known she was a healer, I wouldn't have picked a fight on that tractor. But no, she had to go and antagonize the one person in the village who could save lives. Because of a foxy face. Great judgment, Auntie. Uncle Song had been listening to all the chatter, and his village chief brain was computing. Summer heat was brutal. Autumn harvest was coming. People always collapsed from exhaustion during harvest season, and the village had an barefoot doctor. If he could get me to fill that role. That evening at dinner, he made his pitch. Comrade Sue, would you consider being our village's temporary barefoot doctor? Just simple stuff. Headaches, fevers, basic treatments. My internal reaction, me? A doctor? I know exactly one medical technique, and it's squeezing children.
But then I thought about it.
For basic headaches and fevers, I could use spirit spring water mixed with some herbal remedies and probably fake my way through it. I just needed to learn basic herb identification. And in a flash of lightning, I thought of Old Man Go, the sweeping grandpa in the county town with the healer's hands and the tragic backstory. I'll do it, but I'll need some time to prepare. Uncle's song slapped the table.
Done.
Deal sealed. During preparation, you'll get 6 work points a day. Once you're officially practicing, 10 points a day. Annie Song side-eyed her husband. 6 points? She's going to be running around gathering herbs and studying. Who would agree to 6 points for that? Uncle Song squirmed. He couldn't give me full points before I started actually treating people. The villagers would complain. Honestly, I didn't care about 6 or 10 points. I just needed this countryside stint on my record to be clean and respectable. No black marks, no drama. Just a quiet, productive history that wouldn't cause problems later. It's fine, Auntie. But I will need to go to the county town. Go ahead. And just like that, through a series of cosmic accidents, I became a barefoot doctor. The girl who couldn't even use a sickle properly was now the village's medical professional. Life is wild. That night in my pocket dimension, I checked on the ginseng I'd planted. It was growing at an insane speed, spirit spring-powered turbo growth. I spent the evening forcing it to mature faster. Tomorrow's county town trip was going to be important. Dawn broke, and I was already up and heading to the village entrance. Oldley was still at the hospital, so his eldest son was driving the ox cart today. He spotted me and waved enthusiastically. Comrade Sue, going to town? Listen, when my dad gets back, he's coming to your door to thank you personally. If it weren't for you, our family would've. He couldn't finish the sentence. I waved it off. It was just lucky timing. The ginseng was something I brought for my own health. He pulled out a 10 yuan bill, a big deal in this era, and tried to force it on me. Mom said to give you this. We don't even know how much that ginseng was worth. I pushed it back. No way. He finally gave up. Fine, but from now on, you ride the ox cart for free. Forever. Now we're talking. I accepted that deal without hesitation. But endured another hour of ox cart torture, and I arrived in the county town. I headed straight for the familiar street and found Old Man Go, hunched over his broom, as usual. I walked past and murmured, same spot. I went to our previous meeting point, pulled out another 30 pounds of grain from my dimension, same as last time, and squatted down to wait. 1 hour later, he finally showed up, slightly out of breath. Sorry, something came up. I handed him the basket. No worries. This is the grain I owed you from last time. But I also have a question. His eyes lit up at the grain. Since his family ate the last batch, he'd noticed something remarkable. Everyone felt stronger. His son, who did backbreaking labor every day on an empty stomach, was wasting away until he ate my grain. When Old Man Go checked his son's pulse, the chi was actually stronger. He didn't understand the science, but he knew this grain was something special. Ask me anything. If I know it, I'll tell you. I took a breath. If I'm not mistaken, you used to be a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. I want to learn the basics of herbal medicine. Do you have any books or teaching materials? I'd heard that in this era, barefoot doctors basically read 2 pamphlets and then went out treating people. My bar was low. Old Man Ge's expression shifted. He hadn't expected me to figure out his background. Smart girl. But something about my phrasing bothered him. Learn the basics. Just pick up a little? Was I being casual about the ancient art of Chinese medicine? His voice took on a different weight. I can teach you. But our profession follows the tradition of master and disciple. If you want me to teach you, you must formally become my student. My family has been healers for generations. If it weren't for, he trailed off. The unspoken history hung heavy between us. I stared at this old man, a once great doctor reduced to sweeping streets, his family's legacy stripped away, his knowledge locked inside him with nowhere to go, and realized this wasn't just about getting some herb books. This was about inheritance, about keeping something precious alive. He didn't need to finish the sentence.
I knew what he was going to say.
His family's legacy, the persecution, all of it. Of course I'll become your formal student. That's only right. My surname is Go. My house is at address in alley. Come in 1 hour. This was the first time he'd taken a disciple since. Everything happened. His last apprentice had betrayed him, reported him to the authorities. Luckily, someone old Manhwa had saved in the past warned him in time, and he managed to donate most of his assets to protect his family. The medicine shops got seized. And that backstabbing student? Karma got him good. Ruined reputation, no one would hire him. Lost his job. Wife ran off with another man. The universe keeps receipts. We set our meeting time, and I headed to the medicine shop first. Because sitting on that ox cart for an hour, I'd gotten bored and pulled a ginseng root out of my pocket dimension. Now, let me brag about my magic space for a second. I literally said, harvest, and the ginseng popped out of the ground perfectly intact. Not a single root hair broken. And in the ginseng world, completeness is everything. A few snapped tendrils? Value drops like a rock. This specimen was about the size of a taro root, roughly 30+ years worth of growth. Why didn't I pull out a massive century-old one? 2 reasons. First, I'm trying to lay low. If I walked into a county town medicine shop with 100-year ginseng, I'd have every shady character in the province tracking me down. Second, a county town can't even pay what a century ginseng is worth. Save that big gun for the capital, where rich people won't even blink. I walked into the same pharmacy as last time. Same clerk. Same, I'm too cool to look up energy. Hi, do you buy ginseng here? He glanced up. Oh, it's the pretty lady again. Last time she was buying herbs. Now she's selling ginseng? Interesting career pivot. How old is it? Let me see. I reached into my little cloth bag and pulled out the taro-sized ginseng root.
Just. Bara. No wrapping.
No box. Just raw ginseng in a bag, like it was a potato. His eyes nearly fell out. You just carried it around like that? With nothing around it, he called for the head doctor, who shuffled out from the back room. I placed my ginseng on the counter and watched this white-bearded old man examine it, checking the crown, sniffing it, studying the iron-line patterns on the body, admiring the perfectly intact root hairs that curled and twisted like tiny dragons. I did not take my eyes off that ginseng for 1 second. Nobody's swapping my magic root for a regular one. The doctor made his offer. For 100 yuan. I frowned. You're pricing this as a generic 30-year ginseng. Look at the quality. The completeness. 500 or I walk. I reached for the ginseng. The doctor sighed dramatically. The economy isn't what it used to be. Ginseng just doesn't fetch high prices anymore. I picked up my ginseng and turned toward the door.
Fine.
500, ha. That's the exact haggling technique I perfected buying knockoff clothes in underground malls in my previous life. Who says those skills don't transfer across dimensions? He counted out 50 10-yuan bills. Counted them 3 times before handing them over. I counted them again. Trust but verify. Then I stuffed the entire 500 yuan into my little cloth bag. The clerk's eyelid twitched watching me treat that much money like loose change. Isn't she worried about theft? Buddy, the bag is connected to an interdimensional pocket universe. I think my money's safe. Outside, I peeled off 400 yuan into my dimension and kept 100 for shopping. Time to hit the supply co-op. The second I walked in, the fabric saleswoman spotted me and started waving like we were old friends. Comrade, you're back. What are we shopping for today? I hadn't even planned to visit her counter, but she'd already reeled me in. This woman understood customer loyalty. She leaned in and whispered, "Need more discount fabric?" I thought about old man G's clothes, worn so thin they were basically see-through. 1 bolt, black cotton. Then I nodded toward the food section. Can you also get me 2 bags of white rabbit candy, a fruit can, and some salt and oil? Her face fell. White rabbit candy was strictly limited, 1 bag per customer. But salespeople had their internal networks. I pulled 3 tangerines from my bag and placed them in her hands. Her eyes glazed over, probably replaying the memory of that apple from last time. She pocketed all 3 tangerines. I'd given her extras so she could bribe the food counter clerk, but she kept them all for herself. Bold move. Respect. She scurried to the food counter, where a massive line was already forming. She and the food clerk started whispering, and the people in line got angry. "We've been waiting here. Stop your little gossip session. Seriously, hurry up," the food clerk fired back without blinking. "You want to complain? Then leave. Nobody's forcing you to stand there." Iron rice bowl energy. These government employees feared nothing. Actually, being yelled at made her more cooperative with my saleswoman friend out of spite. She handed over 2 bags of white rabbit candy. The power of pettiness. I collected my haul, left the co-op, and headed to Old Man G's house. I dropped the salt and oil into my dimension first. Those were earmarked for my grandfather at the labor farm. I found the alley, found the side door, left open, just as he'd said. The instant I stepped through, someone shut it behind me. I nearly jumped out of my skin. It was just Master Ge, I should say now. He eyed the mountain of stuff in my arms with concern. I'd already paid back the grain debt. Why was I bringing more? He led me inside. On the table sat several well-worn medical books. Beside them sat a woman his age, his wife, I assumed. I set everything on the table and unpacked it piece by piece. 1 bolt of black cotton fabric. A bag of white rabbit candy. A can of mandarin oranges. 4 red apples, magic ones, naturally. A tin of malted milk powder. A tray of eggs. I knew this was a heavy gift by 1970s standards. Any one of these items would have been considered generous. Altogether, this was the kind of offering that made people uncomfortable. But I'd grown up respecting teachers. In my modern life, when I was lost and confused and had nothing, it was my teachers who pulled me through. They gave me direction when I had none. The least I could do now, with a pocket dimension full of magical produce, was show proper respect to the man about to pass down generations of medical knowledge to a girl who couldn't tell ginseng from ginger 2 days ago. Different era, same values. I've always respected teachers. And in traditional Chinese medicine, the master-disciple relationship is sacred. You don't just casually pick up TCM like it's a hobby. This is generational knowledge passed down through blood, sweat, and centuries of practice. But when Master Ge and his wife saw the mountain of gifts on their table, they both froze. His hands trembled slightly. "Take it back. This is too much. Master, Shifanyang, please accept it. It's just a small token of my sincerity." I bowed deeply. Deeply. Full traditional bow. They rushed to pull me up. "Fine, fine. From today on, you are my final disciple, my closing gate student." Closing gate student, that means the last disciple a master will ever take. The weight of that title settled on my shoulders. No pressure. He pointed to 4 books on the table. "These are the essential foundations. Study them at home and come to me with questions." I flipped through them, not too thick, mostly covering common ailments and treatments. Manageable. Then a thought struck me.
Master.
"Do you have any recipes for, health-strengthening pills?"
Like.
"Tonics." He stroked his chin thoughtfully. "The formulas are simple enough, but the ingredients are rare and expensive." He glanced at the gifts on the table. Then he closed his mouth, disappeared into the back room, and came out with brush and ink. "I'll write some for you." His ancestors had served in the imperial pharmacy. This family had been making medicine for emperors. He wrote out several formulas, different ones for men and women, young and old. The specifics vary slightly by age and gender, but if the herbs are high quality, the differences are minimal. I've included the pill-making instructions as well. I folded the prescriptions carefully and tucked them away. My plan: grow the herbs in my dimension, bring them to Master Ge for quality inspection, then send the finished pills to my grandfather at the labor farm. He had to get back to sweeping streets before anyone noticed, and I couldn't stay long either. On my way out, I remembered to grab my basket this time. I was burning through pocket dimension baskets at an alarming rate. Next stop, the supply co-op, again. 3rd visit today. I was becoming a regular. Among the ration tickets Lu Huijin had given me, I discovered a bicycle ticket. This man had clearly just dumped every ticket he had into that envelope without looking. Bless his generous, clueless heart. Xiaomei the saleswoman rubbed her eyes when she saw me again. I'd left with full arms not long ago, and now I was back empty-handed. She'd already sneaked one of my tangerine slices into her mouth and was still processing how something could taste that good, better than canned fruit, she thought. These dimension-grown tangerines were hitting different. Comrade, do you have bicycles? Her eyes softened with genuine concern. For you? The popular ones are the 28-inch models, but with your tiny frame, you might not be able to handle one. In my previous life I'd ridden bikes just fine. A 28-inch was doable, but I preferred a 26-inch ladies' bike for comfort. Got any 26-inch? She shook her head. You'd have to go to the city for that. Nobody around here buys them. Maybe one shows up every 6 months. I was not traveling to another city for a bicycle. Fine, give me a 28. Xiaomei walked me to the bike section, which she also managed because apparently she ran half the store. This time she didn't ask me for anything in return. Even SHE had limits on how much fruit bribery she'd accept per day. Ticket presented, money counted, and she told me to pick one. I stared at 2 identical bicycles. What was there to choose? I grabbed the one in the back and wheeled it out. Xiaomei was baffled. A bicycle was a major purchase, the equivalent of buying a car. And this girl didn't even check for scratches or test the brakes. She just grabbed it like she was picking up groceries. Who? I asked this woman. On my way out, I also grabbed 2 clay pots for pill making. Priorities. I rode my new bicycle to the police station to register it, Xiaomei's advice. Makes it recoverable if stolen. Then treated myself to braised pork at the state restaurant. Again. I'm developing a habit. Walking to the ox cart pickup point, I waited until the road was empty, then whoosh, bicycle into the pocket dimension. Here's the thing. Owning a bicycle in 1970s rural China was like driving a BMW. I was only staying in this village for 2 or 3 months. If I rolled in on a shiny new bike, every eye would be on me. Every thief, every gossip, every jealous neighbor. Not worth it. The bike would live in my dimension and come out only when needed. At the pickup point, Oldley was back from the hospital. He waved me over excitedly. Comrade Sue, going home? Come, let me introduce you. He turned to the woman on the cart. This is our family's savior. The ginseng was hers. I finally got a good look at Li Hong, old Li's second daughter-in-law, sitting on the ox cart holding a tiny, wrinkly baby. She looked 1,000 times better than yesterday when she'd been basically a ghost. Comrade Sue, thank you so much. Without you, I wouldn't be alive right now. She lifted the baby toward me. Look, little one. This is the person who saved your mama. Remember this face. The baby was classic 1970s newborn, skinny, tiny, eyes still sealed shut. Remembering nothing. Put the baby down. You just gave birth. Raising your arms is bad for your recovery. Shouldn't you be staying at the hospital for observation? She laughed it off. We're farm people, we're tough. I already stayed 1 night. There's work to do at home. My husband needs to earn work points. Might as well go home for my recovery month. I understood. And honestly, after watching the pharmacy doctor's reaction to my dimension-grown ginseng, I knew the spirit spring enhanced stuff was way more potent than normal ginseng. She was probably recovering faster than any doctor would expect. Her husband took the baby and grinned at me. I heard you're going to be the village doctor now? That's perfect. Someone this talented shouldn't be wasted pulling weeds. News travels terrifyingly fast in this era. Oldley was in the county town and already knew about my barefoot doctor appointment. I'd only agreed to it last night. I smiled weakly. Sue pushed onto the stage, Nian, reporting for duty. When I got back to the village, walking past the fields, the villagers' greetings were even more enthusiastic than before. Everyone was doing the math. Big family people get sick sometimes equals be very nice to the new doctor. The new educated youth in the fields watched me stroll past, fresh from a county town trip, earning work points for doing nothing in the fields, and the jealousy was palpable. They were roasting under the sun for the same points I was getting for shopping and visiting my master. Shin Tingting had finally changed into rough work clothes. Her pretty skirt had caught on a branch yesterday and gotten a run in the fabric. Rip. And then Gu Jia casually dropped a bomb. Tingting, didn't you say you and Su Nian grew up in the same military compound? Oh? The implications of that question hung in the air like smoke. Shun Tingting mumbled a flat, when Gujia asked about us being from the same compound. Yeah, we were. And it was eating her alive. There she was, drenched in sweat, caked in dirt, while I was apparently breezing through life collecting job titles like Pokemon cards. Her brain spiraled. What if Su Nian writes home bragging about being the village doctor while I'm still digging in the mud? Mom will destroy me in her next letter. She clenched her fists. I can't let her steal all the spotlight. Meanwhile, I had exactly one concern. I'd bragged my way into a medical position, and now I needed to actually learn medicine before I humiliated myself in front of an entire village. I locked my bedroom door, dove into my pocket dimension, chugged a glass of spirit spring water, and sat down against an apple tree with Master G's books. And I just read for hours, from afternoon straight through to evening. These books were incredible, clearly handwritten by Master Go himself, organized by category, with detailed illustrations of every herb. My focus was laser-sharp, too. In my previous life, I couldn't read for 10 minutes without checking my phone. But in a dimension with zero Wi-Fi and infinite magical fruit, I was a studying machine. I stretched, grabbed some strawberries, and flipped through my seed inventory.
No liquees.
Tragic. I made a mental wish to the pocket dimension gods. Please give me lychees next time. Then I thought about my grandfather at the labor farm. I still needed to visit the black market eventually. At the very least, I had to leave him some money before I left this area. Next morning, I brought up my plan over breakfast. Uncle Song, I'd like to go up the mountain today to gather medicinal herbs. He frowned immediately. The mountain is dangerous. 2 years ago, someone went in hungry and got mauled to death. Villagers only go during the organized autumn expedition. Otherwise, people just cut pig grass at the base. My ears perked up. Dangerous equals nobody goes equals untouched herbs everywhere. This was great news. Don't worry, I'll just poke around the edges. Uncle Song gave me the classic, "Do you think I'm stupid?" look, but what could he say? The village needed a doctor, and doctors needed herbs. Stay on the outer edge. If anything seems wrong, you run. Noted. Probably won't follow that advice, but noted. I packed my little basket and headed out. According to last night's reading, I needed peppermint, honeysuckle, pseudo-ginseng, ophiopagon, and dandelion. My dimension already grew honeysuckle, but those were premium spirit spring-enhanced plants. I wasn't wasting those on basic village prescriptions when wild ones would do fine. I hadn't walked far when I sensed someone tailing me. I ducked behind a massive tree and watched. Little Gooden with a stick for a walking pole and his own tiny basket on his back. He was scratching his head, baffled at how I'd vanished.
Weird.
She was right here. He'd overheard my mountain plans at breakfast and decided to be my bodyguard. This 6-year-old thought he was going to protect me. He'd been following me through the woods like a tiny secret agent and lost me in about 30 seconds. I stepped out and patted his head. "What are you doing following me, little man?" His face lit up like a sunrise. "I'm here to protect you, sister." "No. Go home. Your family will worry." He waved that off. Village kids roam free all day and only show up for meals. "I'll just cut pig grass behind you." No big deal. His real concern, I could tell, was that I'd get hopelessly lost without him. And he was. Probably right.
Fine.
"Today you protect me." His chest puffed up 3 sizes.
Follow me.
"I know where the best grass grows." He marched ahead like a tiny general leading his troops. Then he stopped dead. "Pretty sister, wait. There's a nest of bird eggs up there." This kid launched himself up a bare tree trunk like a monkey. No branches, no footholds, just pure mountain child upper body strength. He reached the canopy, delicately extracted 8 tiny eggs from a nest without breaking a single one, and climbed back down smooth as silk. "Pretty sister, look," he was drooling. His brain was already running calculations. Egg custard? Egg soup? Maybe Grandma will. He licked the corner of his mouth. I laughed. "Great job. Now let's keep going. Maybe we'll catch some wild chickens or rabbits on the way back." He carefully stashed the eggs and led on. As we walked, I had a sneaky idea. The chickens in my dimension loved spirit spring water, so maybe wild animals would too? I let a few drops fall from my finger onto the ground as we passed. Laying traps. Totally ethical. Definitely. By the time we reached the halfway point, my basket was loaded. Dandelion, pseudo-ginseng, and to my delight, a whole patch of wild honeysuckle. I called Gooden over, and we picked until both our baskets were stuffed. I checked my watch and decided to head back before Annie Song sent a search party. On our way down, passing the same tree where Gooden had grabbed the bird eggs, he stopped and rubbed his eyes. Is that chickens? I looked. Sure enough, 3 wild chickens and 2 gray rabbits, all clustered around the spot where I dropped the spirit spring water. They were pecking at the ground like they'd found liquid gold.
Oops.
I mean, what a coincidence. Gooden was vibrating with excitement. Pretty sister, you go that side, I'll go this side, and we'll grab them. He was already mourning the ones that would inevitably escape. 5 animals, 2 people. He figured we'd lose at least 2. But when we rushed in, the animals didn't run. They just kept eating, completely unbothered. Like being captured was a small price to pay for magical water. We caught all 5. 3 chickens and 2 rabbits. Gooden stared at me, then at the animals, then at me again, his little brain short-circuiting. You're amazing, Gooden, I said, dumping everything into his basket. He threw out some pig grass to make room and buried the animals underneath. He was so happy he could barely walk straight. We were just about to head home when Gooden pointed at something behind me, his face draining of all color. BBB, boar. He froze solid. All the joy from the last hour evaporated instantly. In his tiny mind, he was already composing his final thoughts. I never got to eat those bird eggs. I hope Mom and Dad eat the chickens for me. It was a good life. I didn't know he was writing his own eulogy. I turned around and saw it. A wild boar, 2 to 300 pounds. Massive curved tusks. Charging straight at us. I shoved Gooden. Run. Go find your parents. Now, he didn't move. This tiny hero had calculated that if he ran, I'd be left alone with a charging 300-pound death machine. He wasn't leaving. The boar was barreling straight at us. I had about 2 seconds to think. So, I did the only logical thing. I dripped spirit spring water onto the ground and yanked Gooden sideways. The boar's murderous expression suddenly went.
Dopey.
It stopped, sniffed the ground, and started licking the dirt where the water had fallen. Like a dog finding a treat. We bolted. But the water high wore off fast. The boar snapped back to rage mode and came thundering after us. The ground literally shook. Branches cracking under its hooves sounded like gunfire. Now, I've been chased by people before, that's a whole other story, but being chased by a wild boar was a first. One look at those tusks, and I had zero doubt. If that thing connected, I'd be kebab. My brain, in its infinite wisdom, chose this exact moment to replay a famous dramatic movie line. Yenzi, without you, how can I go on living? Not helpful, brain. Not now. I kept dropping spirit spring water behind us like magical breadcrumbs. Every time the boar stopped to lick, we gained distance. Every time it finished, it remembered it was angry and charged again. Good and go. Get your family. I'll handle this. 2 people made too much noise, and this boar was too big to be distracted the way the chickens and rabbits had been. The only real plan, get good and clear, dump enough spirit spring water to zonk the pig, and if things got truly desperate, dive into my pocket dimension.
Gooden ran this time.
He knew I meant it. Alone now, I went full spirit spring offensive. I poured water directly into a bowl from my dimension and set it in front of the boar. It immediately put its snout in and started guzzling. And that's when I remembered something from my previous life. How butchers kill pigs. 1 strike. Straight through the throat. The softest, most vulnerable spot. The boar was drinking. Head down. Throat exposed. I gripped my sickle, took a breath and swung. 1 cut.
Clean. Done.
The boar dropped. I collapsed onto the ground next to it, shaking, covered in blood, staring at the sky. Note to self. Come to the mountain alone next time. Then a second thought hit me. Why didn't I just suck the boar into my pocket dimension? Would it have obeyed me in there? Could I have had a pet boar? Too late.
It was dead.
And its blood was all over me. Very cool. Very fashionable. I needed to move. The smell of blood would attract other predators. I grabbed my dimension bowl, and as I looked around the battlefield, 5 or 6 wild chickens and 7 or 8 rabbits had appeared, all lapping at leftover spirit spring water puddles. One wave of my hand, whoosh. All of them sucked into the dimension. Express delivery. The boar was too big and too public to hide. How would I explain a vanishing 300-pound carcass? I left it. Oh, and another dumb boar wandered up while I was leaving, also attracted by the spirit water. Into the dimension it went. 2 boars in one day. Not bad. Meanwhile, down the mountain, Gooden was having the worst sprint of his life. He fell multiple times, scraped his hands bloody, and his heavy basket kept slamming into his back. He ditched it behind a rock and kept running. He found Song brothers 3 and 4 in the fields and told them everything between sobs. Their faces went white. Auntie Song collapsed on the ground. The brothers grabbed weapons and started rallying every strong young man in the area. Uncle Song arrived and took command. He knew who the best fighters were from the annual mountain expeditions. But then some people started backing out. Nobody told her to go up there. What if our men get hurt? They're the only breadwinners we've got. Yeah, what if something happens? And of course, Wang Dama, my favorite person, chimed in. My Jinbao isn't going. We poor folk depend on our men. Why should they risk their lives for some educated youth? Uncle Song's jaw tightened. He hadn't even called for Jinbao. Some men wavered. It was just one educated youth after all. Gooden was crying and wiping his face. It's not deep in the mountain. We were near the base. Not far at all. Uncle Song's expression hardened. If the boar is near the mountain base, it could come down. It could destroy our crops right before harvest. 1 year of work gone. That got people moving. Old Li's sons shouted, "Let's go already." She could be dead by now, Wang Dama muttered with a barely hidden smirk. That foxy little tramp finally met something she couldn't flirt her way out of. Heaven collects its own. Shin Tingting had complicated feelings. If I actually died, well, she wouldn't have to compete with me anymore. She didn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. Uncle Song made the final call. Anyone who doesn't come doesn't get wild boar meat. Wang Dama snorted. You need to be alive to eat meat. Uncle Song gave her one cold look and moved out. The holdouts, thinking about their hungry kids, reluctantly grabbed their tools and followed. Meat was meat. Gooden led the way despite being completely spent. He'd used every ounce of energy his little body had. They were charging up the mountain when I was strolling down. I'd already dusted off my pants and was casually descending when I spotted a mud-covered, tear-streaked Gooden leading a mob of armed villagers straight toward me. "Village chief, are you here for me?" My voice came out soft and casual. Uncle Song's heart rate dropped from cardiac arrest levels, then spiked again when he saw the blood covering my clothes. "Are you hurt?" Gooden finally broke. He'd been holding back tears the entire run, terrified that crying would slow everyone down. Now he burst into full wailing sobs and lunged toward me. Uncle Song grabbed him by the scruff of his neck. Couldn't risk him bumping into my wounds. I turned around. "I'm fine. Not a scratch." "Relax." Everyone exhaled. Uncle Song asked carefully. Then, "Whose blood is that?" "The boar's." "It's dead. Want to go get it?" "It's not far." Dead silence. Someone finally asked, "Do you killed it?" I nodded. Got lucky. Got lucky. She casually killed a 300-pound wild boar and called it luck. These men had come armed with spears and hatchets expecting a life-or-death battle, and this girl had already handled it solo while they were still arguing about whether to come. Uncle Song could see his men itching to get up there. Free pork was free pork, so he led the group to the site. They found the boar in a massive pool of blood, throat sliced clean. Professional-looking kill. And, inexplicably, 2 wild chickens standing nearby, barely moving. Uncle Song grabbed the chickens, weirdly easy to catch, almost like they were drugged, and handed them to me. "You did the hard work. These are yours."
The boar.
"The village will need to divide it." I nodded. Totally fair. 2 chickens was more than enough, and I had a pocket dimension full of bonus animals nobody knew about. The other villagers had no objections. She killed the boar. 2 chickens was nothing. Uncle Song barked at the group. Move. Get this carcass down the mountain fast. The blood smell will attract more animals, and that's how Su Nian, barefoot doctor in training, ginseng hustler, and part-time fox spirit, added wild boar slayer to her resume. The rescue squad hauled that boar down the mountain at record speed. Nobody wanted to be standing around when the blood smell attracted something bigger. Gooden suddenly slapped his own forehead. His basket. He'd ditched it behind a rock during his mad dash for help. He backtracked, found it untouched, who's stealing pig grass, and lugged it back, trotting beside me like a loyal puppy. In his mind, he was now replaying the moment I killed a wild boar with my bare hands, and my cool sister rating had basically gone through the roof into outer space. Uncle Song sent me and Gooden home and called for the village butcher. The butcher, Xiaolao, was out working in the fields when word reached him. Some female educated youth killed a wild boar with her bare hands. He looked up at the sky. It's broad daylight. Am I dreaming? He sprinted home, grabbed his butcher knife, and ran to the threshing ground. The moment he saw the black boar, he didn't start cutting. He just squatted there, examining, poking, turning the carcass over. For a while, women started gathering as the workday ended. This was event television for rural 1970s China. Wang Dama, who had publicly sworn her family wouldn't eat any of this pork, had received several death glares from her husband and sons at home for that little stunt. She'd yelled at her daughter to blow off steam, as one does, then came to the threshing ground anyway, just to observe. She stood with the other aunties, listening to everyone praise me, and couldn't help herself. The pig probably died of disease, and was just lying there. She found it already dead, and claimed credit. Lucky, that's all. The crowd went quiet. Some people started thinking, actually that's a fair point. How could a skinny little girl kill a 300-pound boar? Wang Dama puffed up with triumph. See? I'm the smart one here. That meat might not even be safe to eat. Don't come crying to me when you're all on the toilet tonight. Some people started backing away from the carcass. Wang Dama's logic was terrible, but her doubt was contagious. Then a sharp voice cut through. You're just jealous because your family can't have any. I heard you told the village chief your household isn't eating this pork. So now you're trying to ruin it for everyone else. Exactly. Don't go spreading lies just because you're bitter. Wang Dama launched off the ground. Me? Jealous? Of what? You couldn't kill me and make me eat this pig. My family won't eat it. Then she felt a chill on the back of her neck. She turned around slowly. Her husband, standing right behind her, eyes radiating pure, cold fury. She shuddered. Uncle Song tapped his tobacco pipe. Lots of witnesses here, Wang Dama. No takebacks later. The crowd chorused. We're all witnesses. Yeah, we're not scared. Start butchering. Wang Dama's husband grabbed her arm with a grip that said we are having a conversation when we get home, and dragged her away. The fact that he didn't smack her right there in public was already generous. She'd just cost their entire family their share of free pork, right before autumn harvest. When everyone needed extra energy, Song Laosen nudged the butcher. Brother Xia, stop examining and start cutting. The whole village is waiting. Xia Lauer had been squatting there for a reason. He'd inspected dozens, no, hundreds, of pigs in his career. This boar had exactly one wound, a single clean throat cut. The meat was completely fresh. This was not a diseased animal that dropped dead. Someone had killed it with one precise, lethal strike while it was alive and charging. He stood up, his narrow phoenix eyes scanning the crowd before landing briefly on Wang Dama's retreating back. This pork is perfectly fresh. I've butchered hundreds of pigs, and this kill was done with real skill. One cut, throat, instant death. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Professional endorsement, delivered. If you eat someone's meat, the least you can do is defend their reputation. The crowd erupted. Meat. We're eating meat. Xia Lauer heaved the carcass onto the butcher block and went to work. Fast, efficient, no wasted motion. The blood had mostly drained on the mountain, but he let it drip a bit more. Organs into a basin. Trotters and head removed first. Everything weighed on a scale, then Uncle Song calculated each family's share. The selection order was done by lottery. Random draw. Maximum fairness. Nobody could complain. The whole village buzzed with excitement. How to cook it, who needed it most, perfect timing before harvest season. And Wang Dama, standing at the edge with no pork, being dragged home by her stone-faced husband. She'd single-handedly talked her family out of free wild boar. Her husband hadn't hit her in public. That was the only mercy she was getting today. Back at the Song house, I had no idea I was becoming a village legend. I was busy with Gooden, doing inventory on our haul. Bad news. The 5 animals from his basket, 3 chickens, 2 rabbits caught earlier, had all died during the chaos. Their necks were broken from the rough handling. Rip. Good news. The 2 chickens Uncle Song gave me were still alive. We could keep them for a couple days, but not long. In this era, having too many chickens could get you accused of undermining socialism. The Song family already had 3. We were pushing the limit. We just finished our poultry census when Annie Song came bursting through the gate with little Erden, looking like she'd aged 10 years. Child, are you okay? I'm fine. But Gooden might be a little shaken up. Gooden's head drooped for half a second in embarrassment. Then his inner tough guy activated. He stood up tall and thumped his tiny chest. I'm fine. Andy Song confirmed we were both alive, then looked at the ground. Chickens. Rabbits.
Dead ones.
Live ones. Her eyes went wide.
This.
She sprinted to close the gate. Can't let neighbors see this bounty, I suggested. How about we cook a chicken and a rabbit for lunch? Everyone who came looking for me on the mountain deserves a good meal. I'd seen that every Song family man had joined the rescue party. They earned this. Auntie Song had never seen this much game in one place. Left hand, chicken. Right hand, rabbit. She needed 3 full seconds to reboot her brain. These are your animals. You decide. But honestly, I'd suggest drying the rest so you can eat them whenever you want. They're not just mine. Gooden and I caught them together. We should ask him how he wants to eat them. Annie Song waved that off. He's a tiny child. He couldn't catch a cold, let alone a chicken. Don't spoil him. Gooden wasn't offended. He looked up at me with those big round eyes. Whatever you say, pretty sister, my eye twitched. This kid is 6, and he's already smoother with women than most grown men I've met. Decision made, Andy Song grabbed a basin and a chicken and marched off to do the bloody work, plucking, draining the whole thing. No way was she letting delicate little Sue handle the dirty stuff. I noticed one of the dead chickens was a rooster. And a gorgeous one too, feathers shinier than any farm chicken I'd seen. I called out to Annie Song before she got too far into the plucking. Save some of the long tail feathers. I'll make Gooden a shuttlecock. Village kids had basically 0 toys. A homemade sandbag was considered luxury entertainment. So a feathered shuttlecock? That was like giving a kid an Xbox. Gooden's brain short-circuited mid-thought. He'd been fantasizing about eating the chicken, and now he was fantasizing about a new TOI. His eyes locked onto Annie Song's hands like a hawk, watching every feather she pulled. She nearly burned herself from his intense staring. She yanked out a handful of long feathers and shoved them at him. Here, go play. Stop hovering. I went to the garden and grabbed tomatoes, potatoes, and green beans. By the time the Song men came home from the threshing ground carrying their share of wild boar, dinner was already on the table. Chicken stewed with potatoes, spicy stir-fried potatoes, tomato egg soup, and a bowl of white rice at every seat. They stood in the doorway, frozen. Auntie Song snapped them out of it. What are you staring at? Su Nyen made all this. Sit down. Song Laosen dropped onto the bench. Mom, you don't have to tell me. You could make food this good if your life depended on it. Eat your food and shut your mouth. She was genuinely puzzled, though. She'd watched me cook. The technique looked similar to hers. So, why did my food taste 1,000 times better? After much deliberation, she concluded, oil. I actually used oil. The village method of wiping a greasy rag across the wok and calling it cooking with oil was apparently not the same thing. Revolutionary discovery. The Song men ate like a pack of wolves. Meat vanished in seconds. If you blinked, your chicken was gone. Gooden ate in slow motion. One piece of meat in his mouth, eyes already locked on the next piece. Strategic eating. The only downside to cooking this well? The smell traveled. Neighboring families could smell it, and their kids started crying. Some of them literally stood at our gate, eating their plain rice while inhaling our aroma, using the smell as a side dish. After dinner, Uncle Song brought up the clinic. Since you won't be here forever, I figured we'd clean out our storage room and you can see patients right here at the house. Perfect. Saved me from running all over the village. Home office medical practice, very modern. Meanwhile, at the Wong household, the atmosphere was volcanic. The entire village was eating wild boar. The air reeked of delicious pork. And Wang Dama's family? Staring at watery porridge and vegetable leaves. Wang Day, her husband, looked at his sad bowl, inhaled the neighborhood pork fragrance, and delivered his verdict. This is your fault. Your big mouth cost this entire family meat. Jindan, their son, was giving his mother a look that could curdle milk. And just on the other side of their shared wall, literally separated by a low divider, Wang Dama's sister-in-law, Wang Ershin, was enjoying her family's portion of pork stew. She made sure everyone could hear. Eat up, everyone. This meat is so delicious. Thank goodness nobody in our family goes around ruining things. Imagine losing out on pork that's practically in your mouth. She rubbed her grandson's round, meat-stuffed belly and strolled to the wall. Some people just have to drag everyone down with them. Real shame. Years of pent-up resentment from when they'd lived together. Wang Ershin had waited a long time for this moment, and she was savoring it more than the pork. Wang Dama slammed her chopsticks down. You shameless little. Are you done? They stood on opposite sides of the wall screaming at each other like two cats in an alley. The whole neighborhood gathered to watch, dinner in hand. Live entertainment with their meal. Commentary from the peanut gallery. Wang Dama's mouth has always been vicious. She bullied her sister-in-law for years. About time she got it back. Exactly. Comrade Su is out there gathering herbs, killing boars for the village, and Wang Dama just keeps making enemies. I'm staying far away from that woman. These comments drifted into Wang Day's ears, and something snapped. Slap. One open-handed hit across Wang Dama's face. Then a kick for good measure. In front of everyone. Wang Dama went full dramatic collapse. Oh Lord, I'm going to die. At my age, getting beaten by my own husband over some little hussy. She'd been untouchable ever since she gave birth to a son. Scolded occasionally, sure, but never hit. Not in all these years. And now, in front of her gossip friends who were literally peeking through the door, the humiliation was worse than the pain. Her screaming only made Wang Day angrier. He kicked her a few more times. Neighbors finally intervened. Okay, that's enough. You're both too old for this. The fighting stopped, but Wang Dama's rage burned on. She hadn't even gone near me today. How was everything still my fault? I was everywhere. Haunting her life, like a ghost, she couldn't escape. That afternoon, the Song family finished clearing out the storage room, and Uncle Song grabbed the village loudspeaker. Attention villagers. If anyone is sick, headaches, fevers, any illness, come to my house and Educated Youth Su Nyan will treat you. Educated Youth Su Nyan will treat you. Educated Youth XU Nyan will treat you. He said it like 5 more times after that. The man believed in repetition. The field workers cheered. Before this, getting medical help meant losing a full day of work points traveling to the county or a neighboring village. Now, walk to the village chief's house.
Done.
But not everyone was convinced. I looked about 16 years old. There's a saying, no hair on the lip, can't be trusted with a job. If I hadn't already saved old Lee's daughter-in-law and little Donkey Dan, nobody would have believed I had any medical skills whatsoever. Honestly, I was only confident because I'd speed read all 4 of Master G's books in my pocket dimension, cover to cover. Time to put theory into practice. And wouldn't you know it, my first patient showed up almost immediately. An auntie with diarrhea. I don't know if I caught a chill sleeping last night, but I've been running to the outhouse since dawn. Started at once every 2 hours. Now it's 3 times an hour. I'm about to pass out. She'd been planning to tough it out. Usually these things passed in a day or 2. But when you're visiting the latrine 3 times an hour, toughing it out stops being an option. My very first case. A simple one, but still a test. Okay, Dr. Sue. You read the books. You have spirit spring water. Time to not embarrass yourself in front of the entire village. I checked the auntie's pulse, who saw her name was, and prescribed 2 herbs, honeysuckle, freshly picked this morning, secretly sprinkled with spirit spring water during drying, and amaranth. Go home, drink warm salt water first, then boil these herbs and drink the broth. She looked at the 2 little plants in her hand. That's it. Yeah, that's it. For basic diarrhea, these 2 herbs were plenty, especially when one of them had been marinating in magical interdimensional healing water. I was confident. She rushed off clutching her stomach. And from behind a tree, like a cartoon villain, Wang Dama slithered out and followed her. She'd skipped work all afternoon after getting beaten by her husband, Karma Buffet, table for 1, heard my clinic announcement on the loudspeaker, and came specifically to watch me fail. Dedication to hating me? Unmatched. She caught up to Husa. Fongzi, where are you running to? I have diarrhea, woman. If I stop talking to you, it's because I'm about to fill my pants. Wang Dama jumped back like she'd been shot at. Can't risk splash damage. Then she spotted the herbs in Husa's hand. One she didn't recognize. The other? She absolutely did. Her voice hit a pitch that could shatter glass. That's what the little doctor gave you? That's just a weed. It grows everywhere. She's scamming you. People in the nearby fields perked up their ears. They didn't catch everything, but the headline traveled fast. Su Nian prescribed weeds. Husa was having second thoughts, but another wave of stomach cramps hit, and she decided. Dead horse, meat live doctor. She ran home, threw the herbs in a clay pot, told her granddaughter to watch it boil, and sprinted to the outhouse. Again. Every step was agony. She passed people on the road who greeted her, but she had zero energy to respond. Those people watched her desperate, sweating face and exchanged looks. Guess comrade Sue's medicine didn't work. Wang Dama planted herself at Husa's house like she was staking out a crime scene. She was not leaving until she had proof of my incompetence. Husa's husband came home and found Wang Dama lurking in his yard. What are you doing here? Nobody's home. The granddaughter yelled from the kitchen. I'm here, boiling grandma's medicine. Wang Dama, whose face skin was thicker than a castle wall, refused to budge. I'm just worried. That young girl might have given Fongzi something dangerous. I even brought my own diarrhea medicine, just in case, Husa's husband frowned. He'd heard the rumors in the fields too. Maybe they should go to the county hospital tomorrow. Then Husa staggered in, white as paper, barely standing. Wang Dama's eyes lit up. This is it. This is my moment. Husa croaked. Someone get me warm salt water. Her husband didn't understand why, but obeyed. She blew on the herbal broth to cool it, looked up, and found approximately 15 eyeballs staring at her. People were crowding the doorway too. This was my first patient. The entire village wanted to see if I was legit. She was in too much pain to care about the audience. She gulped the medicine down, still burning hot. Then her stomach clenched. Worse than before. She shoved everyone aside and flew to the outhouse. Wang Dama slapped her thigh with GLE. See? I told you she was a fraud. Got lucky twice, and thinks she's a doctor. She's nothing but a con artist. Li family's eldest sister-in-law happened to be at the door and immediately fired back. She just drank it. Does medicine work instantly? Is it a magic pill? Wang Dama was ready for that argument. She reached into the medicine pot and pulled out 2 herb stems. Look, recognize these? Roadside weeds. Who is she trying to fool? Everyone stared at the familiar-looking plants. Okay, they did look like common weeds. The crowd went quiet. Wang Dama's grin could have powered a lighthouse. I've been saying she's no good. You all refuse to listen. Now, do you believe me? That's when I walked through the crowd. People parted for me immediately. Wang Dama's first instinct?
Run.
Last time she messed with me, she got slapped twice and lost her family's pork rations. Who knew what I'd do this time? But then she saw the crowd. Witnesses everywhere. Surely I wouldn't hit her in front of all these people. She straightened her spine. Wrong move. I reached out and pressed a spot on her body. Looked gentle, like I was steadying an old lady. But what she felt was a sharp, targeted sting. A little acupressure gift from Master G's books. She lunged at my hair. I sidestepped like a matador dodging a bull. "I'm telling the truth," she screeched. "You can dish it out but can't take it." People stepped in. "Hey, words are words, but don't get physical." "She touched me first," Wang Dama shrieked. "She gently steadied you, and you went for her hair? That's proportional to you." My face, soft, sweet, innocent, was doing all the heavy lifting. Visually, this looked like a mean old lady bullying a helpless young girl. PR battle. 1. Then Wang Dama made a catastrophic tactical error. She lifted her shirt in public.
See?
She hurt me right here. Every old man in the vicinity whipped their heads away. Public shirt lifting? In broad daylight? This was a decency violation. The women leaned in for a look and found absolutely nothing. Not a single mark. "Wang Dama, your mouth is getting more outrageous by the day. There's not even a red spot." She looked down at her own unmarked skin, confused. Her brain was buffering. But she did. And that's when Who Saw came walking back from the outhouse. Walking briskly. Color returning to her face. Stomach, calm. Medicine, working. She pushed through the crowd to find Wang Dama standing in her house, shirt lifted, in front of Hu Saw's husband. Every hair on Who Saw's body stood up. She grabbed Wang Dama's hair with both hands. "You shameless woman. Flashing your body in front of my husband? In front of everyone? You want to get arrested for indecency." Because yes, there was literally a hooliganism law on the books. A few years back, a village creep who liked exposing himself to young wives got shipped to a reform farm for 2 years. Wang Dama went from prosecutor to defendant in about 3 seconds flat. She'd come to expose me as a fraud, and instead she was getting her hair ripped out by a cured patient while the whole village watched. My medicine worked. Wang Dama's reputation took another hit. And somewhere in the cosmos, karma was keeping very accurate records. Wang Dama was still standing there confused about why there were no marks on her body when Who Saw grabbed her hair. Then she heard the word, indecency, and dropped her shirt faster than a hot potato. People rushed in to break it up again. Honestly, the village peacemakers deserved overtime pay at this point. They'd been separating fights involving Wang Dama all day. Who Saw's husband gave his wife a cold look. "You really think I'm that kind of man? You don't trust me at all." The crowd saw this argument veering off topic and slammed the brakes. "Who Saw? How's your stomach? Still running to the toilet?" She blinked, remembered why any of this started, and broke into a sheepish grin. "Oh, I'm totally fine now. My whole body feels light and relaxed." Comrade Sue's medicine actually worked. To prove it, she literally jumped up and down in front of everyone. Full demonstration. No stomach cramps, no emergency bathroom sprints.
Cured.
Then she spotted me in the crowd and grabbed my hands to thank me. And all I could think was, she just came from the outhouse. She did not wash those hands. I smiled through the germophobia like a champion. The crowd started buzzing. She cured someone with wild herbs. That's real skill. If she prescribed expensive stuff, how could us poor farmers afford it? Exactly. This is what a true healer looks like. Poor girl, so skinny and Wang Dama still tried to frame her. One guy who actually knew his herbs peered into the leftover pot. "There's honeysuckle in there. That stuff's worth money at the pharmacy." She gave it away for free. That's the generosity of a military wife right there. Big thumbs up all around. I saw the crowd getting dangerously enthusiastic and made my escape before anyone else could grab my unwashed hands. Wang Dama, freshly beaten by Who Saw and publicly humiliated for the 4th time this week, slunk away through a gauntlet of dirty looks and pointed commentary. Who Saw, now fully informed about Wang Dama's attempted sabotage, spat at her twice for good measure. News traveled through the village at light speed. By dinner time, everyone knew. Uncle Song heard the whole story and was furious. Not at me, but at the situation. "This is partly my fault. Tonight I'm calling a village meeting. We need to address this publicly. Also, from now on, herbal treatments aren't free, patients pay with work points. He meant business. That evening at the threshing ground, he spent 30 solid minutes publicly roasting Wang Dama. Then he turned to her husband and told him to control his woman. The villagers, freshly full of MY wild boar meat and now benefiting from MY medical services, piled on with unprecedented enthusiasm. Wang Dama's entire family became village pariahs overnight. Even Wang Ershin kept her distance, afraid the bad luck was contagious. Gu Jia watched it all quietly, noting the hatred still simmering in Wang Dama's eyes. Smart girl knew this wasn't over. That night in my pocket dimension, I took a bath, then got to work. I had rabbits and chickens to process, not for eating but for my grandfather at the labor farm. People doing hard labor need heavy, calorie-dense food. Salt and oil were scarce for farm workers, so I made spicy sauce. Using the chili peppers, oil, and salt from my dimension, plus the recycled glass jars from Lu Huijin's mom's fruit cans, I cooked up jars of chicken chunk sauce and rabbit sauce, packed them full. Then I took the pork belly I'd been saving, rendered the fatty bits into crispy cracklings, chopped up dimension-grown chives, and made stuffed buns. Big, beautiful, white, steaming pillows of deliciousness. I'd already eaten dinner, but one bun wouldn't hurt. I bit into it and nearly ascended to heaven. The chives from the dimension were on another level, so fragrant it was almost unfair. I inhaled the whole thing. Imagine if I could raise a pig in the dimension, I thought dreamily. That pork would be transcendent. But piglets were controlled production resources. You couldn't just grab one. Dreams for another day. My village life settled into a nice rhythm after that. During the day, villagers came with their minor ailments, headaches, fevers, summer heat exhaustion. I prescribed herbs, secretly enhanced with a drop or two of spirit spring water, and they got better. Every time. My reputation snowballed fast. Not just in our village. Neighboring villages heard about me too. According to Gooden, who'd been eavesdropping on the Andes, the word on the street was, 2 doses from Dr. Sue and your back stops hurting, your legs stop aching, and you can run 10 miles without stopping. I face-bombed. That's not how medicine works, people. At night, I worked on the real project, pill making. Following Master G's prescriptions, I tried to refine health-strengthening pills using dimension-grown herbs. The first 2 batches? Absolute disasters. Wrong temperature, wrong timing, wasted herbs. I wanted to cry. But slowly I figured out the rhythm, when to add which ingredient, how to control the fire, when to stir. Finally, from 1 ginseng root, I produced 20 pills. After that first success, my speed improved dramatically. I made a batch for men, for grandfather, and a separate formula for women. The cross-village fame brought patients from other settlements too. For locals, I charged work points. For outsiders, I charged money that went to the village accountant. The cases got progressively more complex: heat stroke, malnutrition, chronic migraines. Each one taught me something new. When the weekend came, I hung a little sign on Uncle Song's gate, "Gone to buy herbs in town back this afternoon," and bolted for the ox cart. Straight to Master GE's sweeping route. Set a meeting time. Hit the supply co-op for more oil and salt. Xiaomi the saleswoman watched me buy another round of cooking supplies and marveled. How many people is this girl feeding? She goes through oil like water. At the meeting, I presented Master Go with 10 magic apples and a box of my handmade pills. He washed his hands carefully, picked up 1 pill, examined it, sniffed it, and nodded slowly. For a beginner, this is impressive. I can tell you put real effort in. The herb quality is excellent. My heart soared. Teacher approval hits different when you respect the teacher. Really? Then these are all for you, Master. A weight lifted off my chest when Master Go proved my pills. I tried to leave them for him, but he pushed them back. I can't take these. You used premium aged herbs. I pushed them right back. You and Shifunyang need to take care of your health too. He gave up arguing and disappeared into the back room. He returned with 2 small jade bottles and 2 more books. You're a fast learner. I'm guessing you've already finished the first 4 books, so here are the next 2. And these jade bottles are for storing your pills. Preservation matters. Bad storage ruins the potency. The bottles were warm to the touch. Even I could tell they were valuable antiques. Do you have enough grain at home? I'll bring more next time. He waved me off. The herbs I'd given him were more than enough payment. I said goodbye and headed to the black market in disguise. Now, I could have traded with Master Ga for more jade and gold. He probably would have been happy to. But I'm from the future. I know what his family treasures will be worth in 50 years. There was no way I could look that old man in the eye and trade him 30 pounds of grain for million-dollar heirlooms. What I didn't realize was that my grain had probably kept his family alive through these brutal years. Without me showing up, who knows if they'd have made it to the future at all. At the black market, I went on a shopping spree, traded rice and millet for every old artifact, trinket, and antique anyone was selling. I was a fair buyer. If someone's asking price was reasonable, I just paid it. Some sellers got so excited they wanted to run home and grab more stuff, but I didn't have time to wait. They clutched their grain bags like they'd lost a winning lottery ticket. The haul was decent, but nothing matched the quality of what I'd gotten from Master Ga. I needed more. I was about to leave when a skinny young guy in his early 20s blocked my path. I'd noticed him guarding the entrance when I came in, clearly black market staff.
Hey.
If you like antiques, we've got plenty. Want to come take a look? I studied him. You work for the black market? He nodded. He'd been watching me the whole time, specifically watching the quality of the grain I was trading. Top-tier rice and flour that even black market people couldn't get their hands on. I'd gotten his attention. My first instinct was to refuse. But then I thought, I won't be in this area much longer. In this era, you need travel documents to go anywhere. This might be my last chance to stock up. Might as well meet the boss.
Fine.
But I want to see your boss. The guy, Goshan was his name, blinked. This scrawny kid, I was still in my boy disguise, had some nerve demanding to see the boss. Our second boss is available. But watch your mouth when you meet him, second in command. Not ideal, but the actual boss was obviously harder to reach. I'll meet him here. I'm not going anywhere else. Kid, don't push your luck. You've got no meat on your bones. What do you think our second boss is going to do to you? Actually, I have plenty of meat on my bones, I thought. I'm just binding it down, wearing baggy clothes and padding strategic areas so nobody notices I'm a woman. But I kept that to myself.
No arguing.
Here or nowhere. Then two figures walked up behind Goshan. Yishan, the second boss himself, had heard the report about a mysterious trader with incredible grain and decided to come see for himself. When I didn't show up at their spot, he came to me. Convenient. Goshan shut up instantly. I cut straight to business. Where's your merchandise? Yishan pointed at my basket. Let me see your goods first. I don't exactly carry inventory in my pockets. Fair. I peeled back the corner of a flour bag. He reached in, pinched some between his fingers, and tasted it. His eyes widened. His people were right. This was premium grain. The kind of quality that wasn't just good for eating, it was good for securing relationships, buying loyalty, staying alive.
Deal.
What do you want? I showed him the rice and millet bags too. I don't want money. I want gold and silver. Then I remembered my financial situation. I had a few hundred yuan to my name, and most of that was earmarked for my grandfather. I frowned. Yishan misread my frown as hesitation and quickly sent someone to fetch goods before I could change my mind. His guy came back, carrying a small chest. Didn't open it. Too risky in the open. But my wrist was already tingling, my pocket dimension's way of saying, feed me. So I grabbed the box, hefted it, heavy, and nodded. This works. Goods exchanged. Grain hauled away. Professional transaction. These guys seemed legit. No funny business. So I leaned in and whispered, I've got one more item. Interested, we were in the Changbai mountain region. People occasionally dug up wild ginseng around here. Not exactly rare in concept, but quality varied wildly. Show me. I led them around a corner, pulled out a newspaper-wrapped bundle, and revealed a ginseng root. Yishan watched me unwrap it like I was pulling out a turnip from a grocery bag.
Zero ceremony.
Then he saw it. Every single root hair intact. Perfect preservation. Thick body, easily 50 years of growth. His jaw actually dropped.
How?
Every root is perfect. I've never seen anyone dig one up this clean. Most people who find wild ginseng get so excited they destroy half the root hairs pulling it out. That drops the value by half. Mine looked like it had voluntarily climbed out of the ground and posed for a portrait. This time, Yishan didn't name a price first. What do you want for it? 500 yuan cash, plus another box of golden fish. He raised an eyebrow but agreed. While his people went to fetch the goods, he studied me with new interest. Your ginseng extraction technique is professional level. At your age, that's impressive. What about it? I gave him my best don't ask questions face. He laughed and backed off. Relax. I'm just saying, whenever you've got premium goods, come straight to Goshan. Skip the market floor. Save yourself time. A standing invitation to do business with the black market's second in command. Not bad for a girl disguised as a scrawny teenage boy carrying magical interdimensional produce. 2 boxes of little golden fish. That's slang for small gold bars shaped like fish, plus 500 cash. Combined with my earlier trades, my pocket dimension was about to get another serious upgrade. And grandfather's care package was almost complete. I counted out the cash, 500 yuan in crisp bills, and stuffed them into my bag, actually into my pocket dimension, but nobody needed to know that. Grabbed the 2 chests of gold bars, tossed them in my basket, and bolted. Behind me, Yishan's bodyguard grunted. Want me to chase the kid down? He was salty about how much money I'd just walked away with. One scrawny boy cleaning them out like that? His fists were itching. Yishan just smiled. She'll be back, he said she. Interesting. Either he was perceptive or just using a generic pronoun. Either way, I was already gone. The second I was clear of the market, all the gold went into the dimension. I kept only the empty boxes in my basket as cover, circled the town to confirm nobody was tailing me, then ducked into a hidden spot and changed back into my regular clothes. Tossed some pseudo-ginseng into the basket as an alibi, then hit up the state restaurant for my traditional braised pork lunch. Those steamed buns were calling my name again. I'd already eaten through most of the ones I'd made in my dimension. They were supposed to be for grandfather, but they were too delicious. I have no self-control. 20 meat buns to go, please. The server looked me up and down. Pretty girl, bottomless appetite, memorable combination. Comrade, there's a limit. 10 maximum. 10 buns. With ration tickets and cash. Most families bought 1 or 2 as a treat. I was ordering like I was feeding an army. I pouted but accepted my 10 buns. The second I got home, I dove into my pocket dimension to see what the gold had unlocked. First, I grabbed Master G's jade bottles and pulled them out. Couldn't risk the dimension absorbing them as upgrade fuel. I looked around. All the gold bars?
Gone. Consumed.
And in their place, a building. A whole new room had materialized. I walked inside, and my jaw hit the floor. A kitchen. A modern kitchen. Pots, pans, bowls, plates, everything you'd need. But also, a microwave. An oven. An air fryer. A dishwasher. Beautiful ceramic plates and crystal-clear glass jars. And the spice rack. Sichuan peppercorn, chili flakes, oil, salt, star anise, cinnamon, bay leaves. Even brown sugar and red dates. I stood there like a kid on Christmas morning. This changed everything. No more cooking over a campfire in the dirt like a caveman. I had an actual, functioning, modern kitchen in my interdimensional pocket universe. The vegetable garden was exploding with color, red tomatoes, green beans, leafy cabbages. The fruit trees were so heavy with fruit the branches sagged. The medicinal herbs by the spirit spring were lush and thriving. Then I heard it. Oink, oink, oink. I spun around expecting ducks. Instead, a litter of piglets. Pink, pudgy, adorable little babies squealing away. I nearly started drooling on the spot. My brain immediately generated a menu. Pork jerky, braised pork, pork buns, pork belly, pork ribs, pork everything. When these babies grew up, grandfather was getting the best dried pork of his life. And Lu Huijin would get a care package too. Motivation, maximum. I picked a basketful of apples and dumped them on the ground for the piglets. They're omnivores, they'll eat anything. The little guys started crunching into the apples with the enthusiasm of 1,000 tiny garbage disposals. I wondered, Would pigs raised on Spirit Spring enhanced fruit taste extra amazing? Science experiment in progress. A knock on my door yanked me back to reality.
Si ao su.
Are you in? I forced my grin down to normal levels. The kitchen discovery had me beaming like a lunatic, and opened the door. Auntie Song stood there looking.
Wrong.
Not her usual warm self. Her face was heavy with worry, and the moment she saw me, she grabbed my hands. Nyen Nyen, you have to help me this time. I squeezed back. This woman had been nothing but kind to me. If I could help, I would. Take it slow, Auntie. Tell me what happened. She twisted her shirt hem nervously. It's my daughter, Xiaohong. She married a few years ago. Had a baby girl the first year. But after that, she got pregnant twice more, and lost both babies.
Couldn't carry them. She paused.
Being the village chief's daughter was the only reason Xiaohong hadn't been sent packing by her in-laws. In this era, not producing a son was practically a criminal offense. Today, Xiaohong had shown up at her parents' door in tears. Auntie Song's heart was breaking. I remembered that one of the new books Master Ge had just given me was specifically about women's health. I'd barely cracked it open, but I can take a look, but I'm honestly not very experienced with this. I can't promise anything. Auntie Song was desperate enough to try anything. Every experienced doctor had disappeared during the upheavals. The young county hospital doctors hadn't helped. Years of medication, no improvement. She led me to the main room. Song Xiaohong sat there with a smile that looked more like a grimace, face dried out and weathered beyond her years. Her hands were rough with thick calluses. Beside her clung a tiny, scared-looking girl, maybe 3 or 4 years old. I pulled out 2 white rabbit candies and offered them to the little girl. She didn't dare take them, just looked up at her mother with huge, uncertain eyes. Xiaohong pushed the candy back. I'm here as a patient. I can't take your things. Xiaohong Jia, just let the child have them. I'm living in your old bedroom. We're practically family. Her hand trembled. Her lips quivered. Don't say we're connected. I'll bring you bad luck. My stomach dropped. Her mother-in-law had been calling her a disaster star, cursed because she couldn't produce a grandson. She'd internalized it so deeply she believed she was toxic to everyone around her. Jia, what are you even saying? Let me check your pulse first. I reached for her wrist and pushed up her sleeve before she could react. She tried to yank it back down, but it was too late. Auntie Song and I both saw them. Dark purple bruises circling her wrist. Xiaohong had forgotten that traditional Chinese medicine requires touching the wrist. If she'd remembered, she would have waited a few more days for the marks to fade before coming home. She looked up. Her mother's eyes were already red and filling with tears. The room got very, very quiet. Auntie Song was shaking, eyes burning red. Who did this? Was it your husband? He always looks so honest and quiet, and he's been hitting you. She'd never laid a finger on her own children. And now her daughter was coming home covered in bruises from a man she'd been given to in marriage. This was a family matter, and I was an outsider. So I redirected. Xiaohong Jia, let me check your pulse first. Auntie Song grabbed her daughter's hand and planted it on the table. No more hiding. I held her wrist for about a minute. The diagnosis wasn't complicated. Your pulse is weak. Severe blood and qi deficiency. Malnutrition. We need to build your body back up first. I went to grab some herbs, including ginseng slices. Auntie Song's eagle eyes spotted them immediately. She grabbed my arm, ran to her bedroom, and came back with 40 yuan. I don't know if this is enough, but take it. The ginseng slices were leftovers from the batch I'd used for old Li's daughter-in-law, already cut, not worth nearly as much as a whole root. But Auntie Song wouldn't take no for an answer, so I accepted 10 yuan to make her feel better. Honestly, a husband who beats his wife because she can't produce a son? I wanted to tell Xiaohong to leave him, but I also understood, easy for me to say with a pocket dimension full of gold and magic fruit. She had nothing. No money, no options, no power. Telling her to just leave would be like telling a drowning person to just swim. All I could do was fix her body. The rest was her decision. I offered to give up my room for her, but Auntie Song waved that off. She can sleep with me. I haven't shared a bed with my daughter in years. She made her husband go bunk with Song Laosan. Mom needed her girl close tonight. I volunteered to cook dinner. It was the least I could do. Auntie Song had been cooking for me every day since I got busy with patients. I snuck some pork belly out of my dimension, grabbed vegetables from the garden, and here was my chance. Pulled out some dimension-grown tomatoes, green beans, and other veggies to secretly test how they tasted compared to normal ones. An hour later, full spread on the table. Gooden and Erden smelled the food from outside and came rocket launching through the gate. Gooden saw me in the kitchen, clutched his little belly, and nearly wept with joy. He'd been waiting for another Su Nyin meal. He stationed himself behind me as my tiny sous chef, handing me things and drooling. Auntie Song came out, saw the pork, and tried to shove more money at me. Failed again. The Song men walked in, smelled meat, and their legs shifted into high gear. Song Lao-san saw his sister. Jia, you're back. Xiao Hong managed to smile. Autumn harvest is coming. Figured I'd visit before it gets busy. She didn't want to ruin the mood. So she pretended everything was fine. Dinner was lively and warm, but I noticed something that made my chest tight. Xiao Hong's little daughter, this tiny, scared mouse of a girl, only ate from the tomato egg dish. She didn't touch any of the meat. I put a piece of braised pork in her bowl. Don't you like meat? Why aren't you eating any? She blinked her huge eyes, looked at her mother for permission, got a nod and whispered, "Thank you, Jia." Then she took one careful bite. At her grandmother's house, meat was for the boys. Grandma called her a money-losing investment, a girl who'd eventually marry into someone else's family. Good food wasn't wasted on her. She didn't fully understand the words, but she understood the rule. Eat meat equals get hit. The pork juice flooded her mouth, and her eyes crinkled shut with happiness. She was just a little kid. Good food was still magic. I looked at Xiao Hong, and something hardened inside me. What kind of mother lets this happen? Was she too weak to protect her daughter, or had she given up trying? Xiao Hong caught me looking and touched her daughter's head. Guilt flickered across her face. Uncle Song had noticed something was off all through dinner. His daughter's expression was wrong. But with this many people at the table, he held his tongue. After the meal, Auntie Song and the eldest daughter-in-law handled cleanup. Uncle Song dismissed the kids, told Gooden to take the little girl out to play, then called Song Lauda, Lao-san, Lao-si, and Xiao Hong into a room. Auntie Song saw them go in and rushed after them. Xiao Hong hadn't even opened her mouth before the tears started. Then came a crash from inside the room. A table and chairs kicked over. "Do they think our Song family has no men?" Uncle Song had been a soldier. He'd been on battlefields. And now his daughter was being beaten by some country farmer who was angry about not getting a son? His blood was volcanic. Auntie Song grabbed him before he could storm out. "What are you going to do? Beat up your son-in-law? If you do that, you're basically telling the whole village they should divorce. Is that what you want? A father-in-law beating a younger man. How does that look?" Uncle Song's fists dropped to his sides. She was right. Divorce didn't really exist in village culture. People married and stayed married, no matter what. And if word got out, the shame would land on Xiao Hong, not her husband. That's how this rotten system worked. He closed his eyes. "So we just let it go." Song Lao-sen raised his hand like he was in school. "I'll put a sack over his head and beat him up. He'll know it's us, but he can't prove it." Uncle Song actually considered this. A sack beating was the perfect middle ground. Sends a message, teaches a lesson, maintains plausible deniability. He nodded slowly. Then he looked at his daughter, skin and bones, hollow-cheeked, and turned to Auntie Song. "What did the educated youth doctor say?" Auntie Song held up the carefully sorted herb packets. She even gave ginseng. "She's a good person, that Su Nyin. I'll brew the first dose tonight." A tiny spark of hope lit up in Xiao Hong's eyes. First time in a long time, I'd bet. Back in my room, I entered the dimension. Bath first, then piglet inspection. 9 little guys, all thriving on their diet of magic apples, cherries, oranges, and corn. They ate everything, growing faster than normal pigs by a mile. I skipped the regular stream water entirely and went straight spirit spring water for their drinking supply. Maximum growth acceleration. Then I fired up my brand new modern kitchen to make another batch of pills. With an actual oven and proper temperature control, the process was infinitely smoother than squatting over a clay pot and guessing the heat. This time I used the oldest, most mature herbs in my garden, plants that had been soaking up spirit spring energy for weeks. The resulting pills were noticeably more potent than my first batch. I lined them up in Master G's jade bottles and admired my work. Not bad for someone who couldn't identify a dandelion 2 weeks ago. I checked on the chicken sauce and rabbit sauce I'd made earlier. The smell was so good that even I wanted to eat more, and I was already full. I transferred everything from the big fruitkin jars into the sleek 200 milliliters glass bottles my Dimension Kitchen had provided. The big jars were too bulky for grandfather to hide and carry around at the labor farm. Small bottles equals eat in a few meals, evidence destroyed.
Perfect.
For Lu Huijin, though, he could eat openly. Big jar, no problem. Then I thought, what if the sauce smells so amazing he wants to share with his army buddies? Better give him a few small jars too. Can't have my fiancé looking stingy. Before leaving the dimension, I gazed longingly at my piglets stuffing their faces. Grow faster, babies. Your destiny is pork jerky and skewers. Xiao Hong settled into life at her parents' house. Her little daughter helped around the kitchen like a tiny worker bee. My own routine was pretty sweet. Being the village barefoot doctor was way less exhausting than fieldwork, and villagers kept trying to give me gifts, which I refused. My respect level in the village had gone through the roof. One sunny afternoon, I was living my best life, sitting in my room eating Dimension strawberries and reading Master G's medical books, when frantic knocking nearly blew my door off its hinges. Dr. Sue, are you home? Emergency. I yeeted the strawberries into the dimension and opened the door. A middle-aged man stood there, shoes half off, drenched in sweat, looking at me like I was his last hope on earth. Dr. Sue, can you treat pigs? Ah, the village's task pigs. These were community property. Raise them, deliver the required number to the commune next year, and whatever's left over gets divided among the villagers for eating. Basically the most important livestock in the entire village. I am not a veterinarian. The refusal was right on my tongue. But then I looked at this man. Probably had aging parents and young kids at home. If those pigs died on his watch, he'd lose his job, his income, everything. I swallowed the no. What's wrong with them? They stopped eating yesterday. I figured it was the heat. But today they started having diarrhea. We don't have a vet. What do I do? He was pretty sure it was pig plague but was too scared to say those words out loud. The village party secretary had sent him to find me as a last resort. Doesn't the county have a livestock technician? Huh. Those people play hot potato every time we need them. By the time they show up, the pigs will be ghosts. Fine. I'll take a look. But I'm making zero promises. I locked up the songhouse, hung my out on business sign, and followed him to the pig pen. Uncle Song and the party secretary were already there, faces heavy with worry. When they saw me, their eyebrows lifted about 2 millimeters. Hope is a fragile thing. The pigs were clearly sick, all lying down, not moving, food untouched in the trough. The pen was sealed up tight to prevent escapes, which meant zero air circulation. Not great. I knew what modern pig plague medicine looked like, but this was the 1970s. No veterinary pharmacy on every corner. I'd have to improvise. Uncle, I'm going to grab some herbs from the mountain. Be right back. The pig keeper's heart rate dropped by half. At least she was trying. An hour later, I came back with an armload of herbs, all anti-inflammatory, heat-clearing, detoxifying plants. The village chief and party secretary had been pacing nervously the entire time. I chopped the herbs into paste and the crucial ingredient, mixed in some spirit spring water when nobody was looking. Sir, make a fresh batch of feed. Dump the old stuff. The pig keeper cleaned the trough, then prepared premium brand feed. Normally the pigs didn't get the fancy stuff, but since they were on death's door, might as well give them a last supper. Activate survival instincts. I spread the herb paste in the trough. Within minutes, pig noses started twitching. They smelled something. One by one, the sick pigs hauled themselves up on wobbly legs and staggered to the trough. For humans held their breath. The pigs started eating the herb paste. And then, I swear this is true. You could see their little pig faces relax, like a headache going away in real time. I had the keeper add the brand feed next. The pigs attacked it with the fury of animals who'd been starving for 2 days. 3 grown men started crying. Uncle Song wiped his eyes. On behalf of the village, I thank Comrade Sue for her tremendous contribution to protecting our collective property. 3 emotional men giving me a formal thank you speech while surrounded by happily munching pigs. I wanted to crawl into a hole from embarrassment. I came back twice more to dose them, and the pigs made a full recovery. Uncle Song called a village meeting to officially commend me, and the village awarded me 2 pounds of eggs. My reputation spread across 4 surrounding villages. Su Nyen Nyen, healer of humans, slayer of boars, savior of pigs. My resume was getting ridiculous. Meanwhile, Xiao Hong had been at her parents' house for a week now, and her husband's family hadn't sent anyone to bring her back. Not a single person. She was getting anxious, wondering if she'd overreacted by coming home. Auntie Song's emotions had evolved from fury to fear. What if her son-in-law was using this absence as grounds to divorce Xiao Hong? A divorced woman with a daughter. How would she survive? Uncle Song was also second-guessing himself. Had Song Laosan beaten the son-in-law too hard during the sack attack? Was the husband now taking revenge by abandoning Xiao Hong? The villagers, being villagers, obviously knew everything. They were too scared to gossip directly to the village chief's face, but the village entrance intelligence station, aka the anti-gossip bench, was operating at full capacity. Did you hear? The chief's daughter has been home a week and nobody's come for her. Are they getting divorced? No way. Why though? Wang Dama, who had apparently learned nothing from her recent series of humiliations, immediately jumped in. What else? Her belly's useless. Married for years and only produced 1 girl. She's obviously broken and can't have any more kids. Someone nearby snorted. Didn't you have like 4 daughters before you finally got a son? Pot, meat kettle, Wang Dama sputtered. At least I kept producing. Song's daughter can't even, and that's when Auntie Song happened to walk by. She grabbed a broom off the ground and charged at Wang Dama like a warrior queen. Whack.
Whack. Whack.
I'll teach you to spread rumors. Your body is broken. Your whole family's bodies are broken. Wang Dama versus broom. Broom wins. Again. This woman simply cannot stop running her mouth about my people. And every single time she gets caught. It's almost impressive at this point. A perfect record of terrible timing. The aunties who'd been gossiping alongside Wang Dama suddenly went very quiet when the broom came out. Hard to play innocent when you were literally just trash-talking the village chief's daughter. Mid-beatdown, someone came running. Auntie Song, your son-in-law is heading to your house right now. Auntie Song froze, spat in Wang Dama's face one final time for good measure. If I ever catch you talking about my family again, I'll beat you so hard your ancestors feel it, and sprinted home. Half the village followed her. Free entertainment, obviously. She arrived to find Yang Shu, Xiao Hong's husband, standing in the courtyard, holding little Nyo-Nyo in his arms. The girl hadn't seen her dad in a week and was clinging to him. Daddy, when are you taking me and mommy home? That's why I'm here. Then Yang Shu looked at Xiao Hong and did a visible double-take. A week of my cooking, spirit spring-enhanced medicine, and actual rest had transformed her. The sallow, dried-out skin was gone. She had color in her cheeks, some flesh on her bones, and, apparently, her figure had filled out in ways that caught his attention. His eyes did a slow scan of her waist, and I could practically hear his brain switching gears. This man hasn't seen his wife look healthy in years, and his first thought is that his mother had sent him. Autumn harvest was coming and they needed an extra pair of hands, Xiao Hong's hands specifically. She did everything at that house. Laundry, cooking, firewood, pig feeding, fieldwork. The other daughters-in-law were conveniently pregnant every year, so all the chores landed on Xiao Hong. The one with the useless belly got the heaviest workload. Funny how that works. Oh, and he'd gotten the sack beating from Song Laosan and Laosi a few days ago. He'd been sulking, planning to make Xiao Hong pay for it. But now that she looked pretty again, he'd let it slide. This was the man she married. Anger management issues overruled by hormones. What a catch. The Song family came home from work, saw the atmosphere was peaceful, and collectively exhaled. Song Lao-san and Lao-si swallowed their rage. Mom and Dad gave them the look, and besides, they'd already gotten their revenge via sack. Since Xiao Hong's husband was visiting, I made myself useful in the kitchen. To be clear, I was not cooking for him. I'd grown fond of Xiao Hong over the past week. She was genuinely kind. But I wasn't about to pull out any magic dimension ingredients for her garbage husband. Plain vegetables from the garden. That's it. While cooking, the eldest sister-in-law brought up the elephant in the room. Nian Nian. Is Xiao Hong's body ready for pregnancy yet? I slowed my stir-fry. Her body is actually fine now. The real question is whether her husband has any issues. Multiple miscarriages in the first trimester? That's not always the woman's fault. Sister-in-law's eyes went enormous. Men can have problems. She was genuinely shocked. In her worldview, unless a man was literally castrated, the reproductive department was always operational. Especially since Xiao Hong had already produced one child. I nodded. You'd be surprised. In the modern era, male fertility issues were everywhere. But in the 1970s, suggesting a man might be the problem was like suggesting the sun might rise in the west. There's no way Yang Shu would agree to get checked. He'd be laughed out of the county. I nodded again. This wasn't my battle to fight. At dinner, I felt eyes on me. I looked up and found Yang Shu smiling at me with this unsettling, friendly expression. So you're the famous Dr.
Su.
Even our village has heard about your amazing medical skills. Thank you for taking care of Xiao Hong. No problem. But she really shouldn't be doing heavy labor when she gets back. Even a healthy body will break down if you grind it to nothing. He stiffened for half a second, then recovered. Of course. Xiao Hong just loves staying busy. I'll make sure she rests. His words were right. His tone was right. But my skin was crawling. This guy shows up empty-handed at dinner time, eats a free meal, says 2 nice sentences, and considers that a sufficient apology for beating his wife? The bar is in hell. I respect Xiao Hong's choices, but I don't have to like them. I inhaled my rice at top speed and retreated to my room. Out of sight, out of rage. In the pocket dimension, I had exciting business. After a week of spirit spring water and magic fruit, my piglets had grown to 150 pounds each. Not quite market weight, but I was dying to know what dimension-raised pork tasted like. I selected a young sow. Pro tip from my previous life: uncastrated male pigs taste funky. The boys would stay as breeding stock. Now, killing the wild boar in the heat of battle was one thing. Looking a calm, trusting pig in the eye and doing the deed? Psychologically harder. I patted its head, whispered, sorry, then mentally commanded, process. The pig teleported straight into the kitchen. By the time I ran over, it was already butchered, sorted into pork head, ears, belly, tenderloin, trotters, all neatly categorized by cut. My dimension kitchen had an auto-butcher function. I didn't even have to ask. This place was incredible. I grabbed the tenderloin and some fat, ran it through the meat grinder, mixed in honey, oyster sauce, and pepper, and let it marinate for an hour. Then I spread the meat paste onto oiled paper, rolled it as thin as possible. The secret to good pork jerky is thinness. Too thick and it gets watery, and slid it into the oven. Every few minutes, brush with honey, flip, brush again. The smell building and building until the entire dimension smelled like a 5-star smokehouse. Final step. One last coat of honey, then a shower of sesame seeds. The finished pork jerky was glistening. Deep amber color, fragrant beyond words. I picked up a piece, bit into it, sweet, savory, chewy, with flavor that intensified the more you chewed. Dimension raised, spirit spring fed, magic fruit fattened pork jerky. It was the greatest thing I'd ever tasted in 2 lifetimes. I cut it into portions, wrapped them in brown paper, stacks for grandfather, stacks for Lu Huijin, and a few stacks for me because I have earned this. Everything for grandfather was ready: pills, pork jerky, meat sauce. Now I just needed an excuse to visit the labor farm. Next morning, Xiao Hong and Nyo were already gone. Yang Shu had taken them home after dinner. I felt uneasy, but couldn't do anything about it. Over breakfast, I made my move. Uncle Song, I heard from Song Laosen that the farm nearby is experimenting with growing medicinal herbs. I'd love to visit and take a look in a few days. The farm, where my grandfather was. I was so close. Uncle Song owed me about 17 favors at this point, so when I asked to visit the nearby farm, he said yes immediately. His only concern was logistics. It's pretty far though. How are you getting there? Want Laosen to go with you? Song Laosen's head, which had been buried in his rice bowl, somehow sank even lower, trying to be invisible while simultaneously volunteering. No thanks, uncle. I'll go alone morning trip, back by afternoon. Traveling with a single adult man? 2 problems. 1. I couldn't sneak around looking for my grandfather with a chaperone. 2. In this era, false rumors about men and women traveling alone together had literally gotten people killed. Then the universe delivered a gift wrapped in a bow. Before I even finished breakfast, someone was pounding on the gate. Is this Dr. Sue's house? I stood up. That's me. Who are you? A young guy, early 20s, about 5 feet 7 inches, with the classic square jaw that was considered peak handsome in this decade. I'm from Red Star Farm. Our pigs are sick. Our leader sent me to ask for your help. Red Star Farm. The farm where my grandfather was being held. The exact place I'd been scheming to visit. And they were coming to me with a legitimate invitation, on a silver platter. I nearly choked on my porridge from trying not to smile. But I played it cool. Last time was a fluke. Have you tried the county livestock technician? We went yesterday. He's away for training. Won't be back for days. The pigs can't wait that long. Do you have ID? Some kind of credentials. Look, I wasn't being paranoid. Human trafficking was rampant in this era. A pretty girl following a strange man to an isolated farm? That's chapter 1 of every cautionary tale. He whipped out an official introduction letter. I couldn't tell if it was real, so I handed it to Uncle Song, who examined it like a forensic investigator. Song Laosen jumped in. I should go with her. A villager at the gate helped. I've seen this guy at the farm before. He's legit. Uncle Song confirmed. Letter checks out. The seal is correct. Your name is Zhang Sanfeng? Yes. Just call me Fengzi, I nodded. Let's go. Then I turned to Laosen. Really, it's fine. No need to miss work over this. He looked at Annie Song for backup. But she'd noticed something in her son's eyes recently. Something that went beyond brotherly concern. I was an engaged woman. She couldn't encourage this. After I left with Fengzi, and the neighbors dispersed, Andy Song pulled Laosen aside. You know what's appropriate and what's not. I'm only saying this once. And I think it's time we start looking for a girl for you. Laosen's face turned the color of a tomato. I'll be careful. But I don't need matchmaking. Oh, honey, Auntie Song thought. Yes, you do. On the ox cart, I noticed Fengzi had actually cleaned it beforehand and laid down a woven grass cushion for me to sit on. The bumps were noticeably reduced. This kid was thoughtful and could drive an ox cart.
Multitalented.
He described the pig symptoms on the way, sounded identical to what our village pigs had. My confidence level high. My excitement about reaching the farm, maximum. We arrived before the sun got brutal. 2 middle-aged men, farm leaders, were waiting at the gate, looking like they hadn't slept in days. Are you Comrade Sue? I could see them thinking, she's so young. Is this going to work? But they'd heard about my village success story and weren't about to insult the expert they'd begged to come. That's me. Let's go see the pigs. No small talk.
No te ceremony.
Just business. The leaders exchanged a glance. This girl means business, no fluff, and practically jogged toward the pig pen. What they heard, a no-nonsense professional. What was actually happening? I wanted to get the pig thing done fast so I could go find my grandfather. Their pig operation was way bigger than our village's. Nearly 20 pigs. If they all died, the farm was finished. The leaders' shirts were already soaked with sweat, and it wasn't even hot yet. That's pure anxiety sweat. I assessed the situation with my most serious doctor face. The leaders watched me frown and started sweating even more. Right before they cracked and started begging, I spoke. Get me a basin and a hammer. Yes, yes, yes. Fengzi, go. I glanced at the 2 leaders, grown men on the verge of tears over livestock, and felt a pang of sympathy. It should be treatable. Don't worry too much. Their shoulders dropped 6 inches with relief. If you save these pigs, you're the savior of Red Star Farm. If they die, we can't even imagine how we'd explain it to the higher-ups. Fengzi sprinted back with supplies. I started crushing herbs, the same anti-inflammatory, detoxifying blend as before, with generous secret doses of spirit spring water mixed in. Clean out the pig pen while I prep this. Sick pigs need clean environments. And make fresh feed. 3 men scrambled to comply. Leaders shoveling pig waste without a moment's hesitation. That's how you know they're genuinely good bosses. While grinding herbs, I scanned the farm layout. It was big, took a while just to walk from the gate to the pig area. Situated at the base of a mountain. Perfect. My mind was already planning. If I needed to leave supplies for grandfather, hiding them on the mountain was safer than leaving them in any building. Buildings could get searched. Mountains don't get inspected. I couldn't hand things directly to him either. Too much stuff would raise suspicion. Small amounts hidden strategically. This required finesse. The green herb paste filled an entire wooden basin. I dumped it into the pig troughs and waited. Slowly, snouts twitched. 1 pig stood up. Then another. They wobbled to the troughs and started eating. Then they started eating with enthusiasm. 3 grown men watched their pigs eat and looked happier than if they'd won the lottery. I swear one of them was blinking back tears. After the herbs, the pigs transitioned to regular feed and demolished it. Life restored. One of the leaders looked up at the sun, then at me. Dr. Sue, we're not sure how long the full recovery will take. We've prepared a room for you here. Would you like to rest? You must be tired from the journey. A room. At the farm, where my grandfather lived. I controlled every muscle in my face to avoid grinning. That would be fine. Thank you. I'm in.